Hey, welcome everybody. This is Friday, the 1st of May. Welcome to the Singapore Online English Toastmasters Club meeting. And good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you live in this world. This is truly an international Toastmasters Club because we have members meeting from all over the world. Tonight, the theme is listening. And Toastmasters teaches us speaking and listening skills. But we were born with one mouth and two ears because listening is twice as important as speaking. So please tonight, pay attention to people and do listen to our speakers. Our meeting is broken up into basically 3 parts, and they're roughly 1 hour in duration. Tonight, our first part of the meeting is table topics. After that, we will go into our prepared speeches. And then in the next, probably the next hour after that, we will be doing the evaluations of the speakers. So our meetings run a little bit long, so please expect that. And they're roughly 1 hour in duration per increment of the meeting. If you have not been to an online meeting before, we have some rules. If you are not speaking, please make sure that your microphone is muted. And also the meeting is being recorded. So if you don't want to be seen, you can go ahead and turn off your video. What we also do, since everybody is muted, when we applaud, instead of making loud noises, we will just wave our hands like this, and this means applause. Also, if someone is supposed to be speaking and you can't hear them, you can put your hand behind your ear and do this so that you'll let them know that they can't be heard and they need to unmute their microphones. So that's kind of the basic rules of our meeting tonight. And at this point, I will go ahead and introduce our president of the club. He will be also helping with self-introductions with everybody. So please help me welcome our president, Mr. Willie Lowe.
Thank you, Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmaster for all over the world. Can I ask 3 persons one question? I will unmute the person and highlight. Mercy, what's the purpose of a table topic speaker? What you need to do as a table topic speaker? Before you start to speak, what is the first thing you need to do?
Introduce yourself. By the way, I'm a guest.
Yeah.
Toastmaster.
No. Okay, sure.
I will say introduce yourself.
So when I ask you the first question, what is the message? How do you react to my message? What's the first 5 cents of you that received my message?
What is the first? Sorry, what was the next word?
5 cents. The 5 cents.
5 cents.
Yes.
Listen.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. We'll come back to you later. Okay. Let me get someone. Petition for France. Where you are listening to a speech, where you want to give feedback, what does a evaluator need to do when doing a speech? What he have to do, what he need to do so that he can evaluate a speaker. Since you are only a 2 or 3 months Toastmaster.
You mean for an evaluator?
Yes. Example, you're an evaluator for any meeting. What is the first thing you need to do?
Besides listening to his speech or her speech?
Yes, you got the answer correct. Thank you. I will tell you why I asking each and every one of you. Oh, good. Let me count for someone for US. Kokamuchi.
Yes.
Since Mercy is new to Toastmaster, I will direct a question back to you. As a table topic speaker, what is the first thing you need to do before you can answer the question?
The first thing is to, of course, as you said, and the theme of the meeting is listening to the question carefully. sometime repeat it so that the audience can also understand the question, because it's not always clear that audience have all heard the question clearly.
Okay, thank you. This question will come back to someone in Singapore. Let me see. Alicia,
Yes.
what is the thing? What is the thing you need to so-called do when you are preparing your speech? Or while you are writing your speech?
Okay, when I'm writing my speech, I need to think of who will be my audience and tailor my speech to them.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Alicia. In life, we are five senses. There's listening is one of them. Thinking is also one of them. Seeing is one of them. When you are speaking, will you want to interrupt people? Raise your hand if you like to interrupt people. Because I am someone who like to interrupt people because I'm very defensive and I don't wish to listen. As a visionary leader, I tend to have my vision, but I fail to listen. In Toastmaster, almost all the pathway or in the traditional program, table topic is the time where we need to listen actively and we need to think next. Do you think first before you listen? If tell me yes or no. If it's a yes, put it a thumbs up. If it's no, a thumbs down. Do you think first before you listen, or which way? So listen first to think. Yes. So when you fail to listen, is where you fail. I mean, you fail to think is where you fail to listen. So I would like everyone, for those who are not holding any roles tonight, take the chance to listen and learn how to be a better listener. Toastmaster of the day.
Okay, thank you, Willie. Okay, let's see the next part of our program. Actually, let me back up first. We do have a timer for this meeting, and I want to make sure that everybody is aware of who the timer is and where she is so that you can watch for her. Let's see, Shanshan. Oh, there you are. Shanshan, could you please change your screen or something so that people can identify? Right now, she has a lighthouse. She has a whole bunch of stickies behind her right now, if you can see her. And she will be changing her screen, and I'm not sure if she'll be actually putting up the time, digital time, but she will at least, she's got the green screen up right now. Okay, so everybody see that? Okay, and now she has the yellow and now red. So while you're speaking today, whether it be during table topics or during the speaking part of the program or evaluator, please make sure that you can always be able to see Shanshan's screen. See, another thing that we have tonight, yes, I see him. We have someone who is going to be a grammarian, or I guess he's put up LE for language evaluator. And Terence, do you want to make a few comments before we begin and let people know who you are and what you're going to be doing today?
Good evening, everybody. Well, at least it's evening where I am. Thank you for having me. Willie has been nagging me to come on this since it started. And finally, I gave up because Willie is very, very persistent. So thank you for having me. Now, later we will talk a bit more about language, and we'll try and make it fun because the language evaluation segment, the grammarian, is normally the most boring, let's be honest. So I'll try not to be boring. And if I am, you'll find someone else to blame. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Terence. Yeah, since this is an international group, everybody has a slightly different dialect, and so we'll need to be a little bit cognizant of how people will normally be speaking. So yes, we will try to have fun tonight with our language evaluator or grammarian, whatever, however you wanted to call that person. The next part of the program is the one that some people really enjoy and some people really hate, but it's up to you how you perceive it. But to me, it's kind of fun, and especially if you are the person leading it. Our table topic master for this evening is an advanced communicator silver. Please help me welcome our table topic master, Pallavi Singh. Pallavi, take it away. You need to unmute. Nope, still need to unmute. Can't hear you. There.
Yeah, I was waiting for the permission from the host. So thank you
Yes.
so much, Dennis. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I would be sharing my screen shortly. Okay, may I request the Zoom master to enable my screen sharing so that I can share. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Now we are going to start our table topic section. And just to brief up, being Toastmasters, we are certain times in such a situation where we are asked randomly just to come up on the stage and take the charge. So this particular section deals with speaking off the cuff, where we are not supposed to be prepared, but yet we deliver a speech which is as awesome as a prepared speech. So table topic section or an impromptu speaking, being a Toastmaster, we are introduced with certain patterns with which we can start our table topics. I'll just give a very brief idea how we can start off with table topic section. A very simple is weighing the pros and cons, or if not, the past, present, and the future perspective. And the best way is neither this way, that way, my way is the best way. So it's up to all of you, which approach do you want to start off today with when it's your turn as table topic master. And those who are wishing to speak up as table topic, in the table topic section, please volunteer yourself in the chat box and I'll be picking up your names from there. And to let you know certain rules for table topics timings, like every speech in Toastmasters, timing plays a crucial role. So 1 minute, the timer Shanshan will show a green card or a green screen. 1.5 minute, that is 1 minute 30 seconds, a yellow screen will be flashed on Shanshan's screen, so you can pin Shanshan's screen. At the end of 2 minutes, it will be red screen, and 2.3, I hope it is a buzzer. So here we are in the battleground now. And is there anyone, I can see someone messaging. Okay, may I have Phil for the table topic section? Phil McRae. Phil, we have a wide range of selection of topics from 1 to 20. You may select any number.
I will have number 7, please.
Okay, as you say. So here we are with number 7. So it is, listen to your intuition. It's on your side. Phil McRae, listen to your intuition. It's on your side. It's said by an anonymous person. Over to you, Phil McRae.
Thank you, fellow Toastmaster. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an incredibly interesting point to raise and a very important life lesson. Because at the end of the day, many factors around us will affect our decisions, both logically and emotionally. But that inner self, that little voice in here and in here, that's the intuition that's always going to guarantee our safety. It takes me back to a time when I was in the Royal Navy. I was preparing for my first tour in Afghanistan. and I was conducting a very intensive training mission. My job was to go out and try and find some people who had been injured in this battle scenario. And it was one of my first experiences as a true leader of other men and women. And in this situation, I felt I was getting everything wrong. I felt I couldn't quite get my team to connect with me. And when I finally get to the point in the heat of the battle, everybody's screaming. Everybody wants me to do what they want to do. I had to take a moment, compose myself, relax, listen to that voice inside. Phil, how are you going to get everybody through this? I listened. I evaluated the options. I decided to act. And then I stuck with that decision from the beginning through to its resolution. I completed the mission. My team were safe and ready for the next task. And from that I learned, and ladies and gentlemen, please understand this, that voice in your head might not keep everybody happy, but it will give you clarity and focus. And a fantastic example to bring this into table topics, something to remember when you start a table topic: don't fight the question. Don't fight the voice in your head. Listen to it. Allow it to guide you, because it has your best interest at heart. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Phil McRae. Thank you for this opportunity. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Phil. Thank you so much. What a wonderful speech. And like as Phil said, we should not fight to our institution. We should always listen to it. So listening to my intuition, I shall call upon the next table topic participant, Vlad. Pardon if I'm not pronouncing it correct. It's Vlad or Lad. I have his name volunteered. Vlad, would you like to select a number?
Yes, number 1.
Okay, here you go. Okay, so the number 1 topic set by Stephen R. Covey, the topic is, the biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand. We listen to reply. Vlad, the biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand. We listen to reply. Over to you, Vlad.
One story that I heard says that once an angel came to a man and told him, "Sir, I'm going to give you everything you want, all the riches on this planet, except that your neighbor is going to get twice as much. So you can have everything, but your neighbor will have twice as much." And do you know what he did? He said, "I want you to take out one of my eyes." This sounds stupid, ladies and gentlemen, but we are creatures that we are always comparing ourselves with other people. How many times have you heard when you were a child from your parents, "Oh, why can't you have good grades like Mr. John or Mrs. Smith?" Have you ever heard that? Did your parents tell you that? Society puts a lot of weight into a baggage that we carry with us throughout our lives. And we compare ourselves with other people, and we do not want to be below them. It doesn't matter if we have $1 million, if the neighbor got $2 million. This is why in many times when we are conversing with a stranger, with somebody else, we're not thinking about exchanging views, but some of the times we're just thinking, how can I be right and show him that he's wrong? So instead of trying to understand his perspective, what I'm doing is trying to make him, at least in my eyes and in his eyes and in everybody's eyes, look worse than I am. I'm right, he's wrong. So we listen and we pick the things he's saying, all the things that we could say, "Oh, ha, here you're wrong, here you're wrong." But instead we should look at what's right with the people, what people are saying that can enrich ourselves as well. So true listening is about trying to find what other people say that is right, how other people can enrich ourselves and our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vlad. That was a nice perspective that we should listen. We should not listen with an intent to reply back. Okay, next, can I have okay, so the next speaker is Vikas. Vikas, would you like to select a number? Is Vikas there? Okay, if not Vikas, we can move to the next person who has volunteered, Michael. Michael, would you like to unmute yourself and select a number for the table topics?
Hello.
Yeah. Is it Michael?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Michael here. Hi. I'd like to go with table topic 9.
Okay. Okay, so Michael, you have got a quote from Marvin Minsky. Listening to music engages the previously acquired personal knowledge of the listener. So Michael, your topic is listening to music engages the previously acquired personal knowledge of the listener. Over to you, Michael.
All right. So, I mean, as ironic as this seems, so me being someone who's actually a music producer, so I'm someone who usually spends this amount of time producing music on Friday, but today I decided to hop onto this Toastmasters, and well, so this speaks volumes to me, the whole topic. So, to start off with, so with music, I think a lot of us, that's been our getaway, say from, not long 9 to 5 hours, and, you just get back and, everyone's got their own genre. It could be jazz, it could be hip hop, it could be any of these genres. But, the only reason why all of us tune into this is because, it's just that one moment takes you away from your mundane life. It puts you back to a whole different zone where you get to recollect and reminisce on, different experiences you've had. Even today, supposing, say, I'm not feeling that great, I always usually, tune into a different playlist where, I have got songs which actually mean the most to me, which has something to do with my past experiences. It could be, say, there was this one time when I was doing really well and I had this song that was playing in the background. So those are songs that I capture in my playlist. So the next time when I'm lacking motivation or, I really need to get going, probably hit the gym or get to solving some difficult task. So that's when I tune back to that playlist and, it just takes me back there. And especially if you're someone who listens to a lot of lyrical jazz, that's where, it's got a lot of soul in it. So I'm pretty sure a lot of us, kind of usually are taken to a getaway and, we kind of escape from everything that's normal and mundane, in our daily lives. So I think, music kind of speaks volumes in terms of our previous personal experience, and it reflects back, every time you listen back to it. So yeah, that's my time there. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. It was really nice thought sharing that music really impacts our life, and it is very necessary to listen to the music because it can boost us. So with that, we move to the next speaker. Okay, I have got the next volunteer, Joan D'Souza. Joan, would you like to select a number from the screen share? We wait Joan to be unmuted. May I request the Zoom master to unmute Joan? Okay, Joan is unable to mute herself. So meanwhile, can I request Abdul Karimi to be the next speaker?
Yes, go ahead. I'm here.
Okay, so Mr. Abdul Karimi, I would request you to select a number.
Sure. Let me get topic 4.
Okay, here you are. Okay, so topic number 4 is again said by an anonymous person. Listening is often the only thing needed to help someone. Abdul Karimi, listening is often the only thing needed to help someone. Over to you.
Yes. Yes, listening is very, very important because without listening, you cannot learn. And if you want to solve somebody's problem, how can you help them by not listening to them? So our job is to give our attention to the person as much as we can and agree with him if he really or she really needs you. So it is very important. Without listening, where can you go? How can you develop? How can you understand? There are so many ways of people want to distract you, to stop you without listening to you. So my point is that when you listen, you will get somewhere in life. You start discovering, you start learning what you need to do to improve. So by listening, every time you have to ponder, why is this very important? How can I make this help me to improve me? So if a person wants to learn something from you, you must give the attention. You must ponder on it. So we have to, in other words, we have to speak less and listen more. Listen more. Whatever it takes, if you cannot listen proper, you must practice it with your family, with your friend, back and forth. If you need to listen to audio, you always gotta put yourself in that situation. So this is my advice for everybody. You must listen to the person without hesitation. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Abdul. That was really nice that we should listen. And with that, I'll move quickly to the next speaker. So the next speaker would be Vikas. Vikas, are you able to unmute yourself?
I am unmuted, Madam
Okay,
Table Topics Master. I would like to take topic number 8, please.
Sure. Okay, topic number 8, Vikas, is the earth has music for those who listen. It's said by Shakespeare. Vikas, your topic is the earth has music for those who listen. Over to you.
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. This is a quote that really resonates with me. The earth has music if you listen. So often we get so busy with our lives, our families, our work, our social structure. We rarely stop. But if you stop, if you go out into nature, you hear such amazing music. And the fantastic thing is there's no instruments. It's just a matter of using these 2 years that we've been given and keeping the mouth quiet, keeping the brain quiet. And there is so much music to be heard, to be enjoyed, to be shared. And then there is music with the instruments. And Michael earlier was speaking about the music that he creates as a producer. So I truly believe that if you listen to nature, there is tremendous music out there, and it has natural healing powers as well. So let's listen, keep our mouths quiet, keep our brains quiet, and all of this will help us. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Vikas. That was really nice, that we should listen to our heart, mind, body, and soul. And with that, I would like to move to the next speaker. And our next speaker is Joan. Joan, would you select a topic, and if you listen to me, select somewhere from in between 11 to 20. And as the theme says, listen, so it's up to you if you want to listen to me, else the numbers are yours.
Hi, thank you so much. I would rather go and listen to our team here. So I'll go ahead and pick table topic 17.
Sure. Okay, so Joan, your topic is, it's said by Bhakti Sangvi, listen to understand, not just to backfire. It's okay if you don't agree, but at least hear it out. Respect should sustain, no matter what. Joan D'Souza, your topic is, listen to understand, not just to backfire. It's okay if you don't agree, but at least hear it out. Respect should sustain, no matter what. The stage is all yours, Joan.
Dear table topic master, my friends here, president and fellow guests, thank you so much for this honor to have me here today. This is an excellent topic, and I would really appreciate if first I can see Shanshan here. Oh my gosh, where's Shanshan? But all right, there she is. So I totally agree with this statement, and I firmly believe that it's important to have respect in a relationship, and it's important that we agree. We have to hear, and it doesn't matter if you if you agree with me or not, but you have to at least give a listening ear. Is that this is what I summarize from this topic. And this is no matter what in a relationship, right? With your spouse, with your children. And as the children grow, you have to listen to your children, especially, with your kids, right, these days. You have to empathize. You have to listen and empathize, no matter, what, even if you don't agree with them. For example, I can just give you a story right now. I have a small dog in my house, and I really hate my children when they put it on the couch, on the bed. We bought the dog in order to keep them entertained during this, and he's really serving the purpose during this COVID-19. But, when they get too involved in it, they start keeping everywhere. And my daughter keeps telling me, Mom, he's really keeping me happy, entertained. So I have to kind of sometimes just give it in, no matter I don't like it. I don't like, because I'm really worried about, if he starts chewing our couches and all that. So it doesn't matter. But what I have to empathize is that there's no other way for her to entertain herself. There's no way for her to get out of the house. So this is the only kind of toy she has. So I have to just give it in, So it doesn't matter. And, it doesn't matter. I have to respect her to her thoughts, and I have to listen. And I equally appreciate that, because if I get angry with her and if I start saying something beyond my boundaries, she's going to retaliate back. So no matter what, in a relationship to survive, you have to agree, even if you, listen, even if you don't agree, and respect those thoughts for the relationship to survive. Thank you so much. And back to you, TTM. Thank you.
That was really wonderful, Joan. So we have got a nice point of view today that we should definitely listen, and it should be definitely to our children, because yeah, they are the force at home. Okay, so we move to the next topic. Okay, can I request now Mercy to be the next speaker? Mercy, are you unmute?
I can't unmute.
Okay, we can listen you. So you are already unmuted. So
Oh.
that's great to hear your voice. And now, Mercy, would you select a number?
Give me number 20.
Okay,
Number 20.
number 20 is yours now. So Mercy, it's a proverb. No one is as deaf as the man who will not listen. Mercy, no one is as deaf as the man who will not listen. Over to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mercy. I'm from Malaysia. I've heard these proverbs that no one is as deaf as a dead man if he refuses to listen. I think this proverb is ringing loudly because listening is such an crucial skill for everyone, especially if a listener chooses to listen. He is also improving not only himself, but he's also helping to contribute into someone else's life journey. And I think when we compare the word hearing and listening, both are different. Hearing, to me, I would define it as hearing a sound, but you may not necessarily know the content of the speaker. But listening is when a person puts in effort and understand the content of the person's words, feelings, and emotion. And I think with the skill of listening, it contributes to resiliency, which is very crucial at this time right now during the lockdown, because there's a tragic news. It was yesterday that a family member was fighting because they just do not know how to cope with the situation being locked in the house. And the husband actually killed the father-in-law and the wife, and then after that he killed himself. And I think it's very tragic. If only the situation would have been handled differently and that the argument would be turned into an act of listening, I believe the story would be different. And so I want to encourage everyone to stay resilient and listen to your thoughts carefully. If it's a thought of negativity, throw it away and stay positive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mercy. Really nice, wonderful thoughts that we should be resilient and we should listen to our positive sides. That was a nice thought, and I'll move to my next speaker. The next speaker would be Anthony Charles. May I request the Zoom master to unmute Anthony Charles? And Anthony, once you are unmuted, please select a number.
So 20, please. Is 20? Okay, 19.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 19 is yours now. Okay, it's said by Mark Twain, wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you would rather have talked. Anthony, the topic is, wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you would rather have talked. Over to you.
Good evening, Madam Table Topic Master, Toastmasters, and fellow guests. I'm Anthony. I'm currently speaking from Philippines, Davao City. Frankly speaking, I never thought the art of listening is as important subject by itself. But now that I'm more aware of it after been listening to our fellow Toastmasters, I think perhaps 80% of my profession or my work depends on my listening to someone or on someone else listening to me. I'm a seminarian, I'm a priest in formation. When I look back on the people I meet every day, or rather the people who come to meet people like me, the priests or the seminarians, there is a unique connectivity between us and the people that happens every time. Although often people say the pre-spiritualized things, or the spiritualize into sins and spiritualize into matters of spirits. But I think before even going to the topic of God in a counseling session or a spiritual session, I think a big discovery for me is this underlining art of listening. As our previous speaker also said, Miss Angela said, hearing is far away, far distant away from the art of listening. Hearing is just taking in something without processing it, but listening is like a computer which receives an information, processes it completely, and give it back in a threefold, in a fourfold, meaningful manner. So I think the wisdom comes from this underlining act of listening, and this is something that we are created to occur in our life. Thank you. Over to you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Charles. Really nice thought. We got to learn a new thing today, and wisdom definitely lies in listening.
Thank you.
With that, we move to our next speaker. Next speaker would be Farouk. I hope you're unmuted by the Zoom master now.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. So Farouk, please select a number.
Number 13.
Okay. So it's Friday the 13th and number 13th is yours. So Farouk, your topic is said by Mihaly C. It is not the hearing that improves life, but the listening. It is not the hearing that improves life, but the listening. Over to you, Farouk.
Very good evening, Table Topic Master, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmaster and distinguished guest. Myself, Farouk from Bangladesh Youth Toastmasters Club. I have joined as a guest here, and it is really honored and privileged for me. So my topic is, it is not hearing or it's listening, which can make feel better. So as per my assumption, the hearing and the listening, there is a two different things. Apparently you can say both are the same things. You are listening and you are hearing, but there are some difference. Something you can only hear, which is there is no impact, there is no effect in your life or in your knowledge and in your wisdom in future. But in listen, there are some wisdom and you can get something message and you can improvise them to use that next level in your daily life or in your professional life or your in future life. So here I can give you the example like that. Someone is speaking with me regarding something like coronavirus. So I'm just get the news that if someone is impacted by corona, so he should follow some rules and guides to read off from this corona. If it is hearing, if I just keep it myself, but if I listen carefully and if I pass the message to some other colleagues, some network, and if I implement those things in my life as well to avoid the corona effect, then it can be helpful. So definitely listening is the something which is really different than hearing. So hearing is not in an action. Hearing is just in hear and get off it. But listening is thing which is always hunting on your mind and in your head, and you can improvise to the next level and you can motivate the people and you can grow yourself as well. Over to you, Table Topic Master. Thank you.
That's really a wonderful perception by Farouk that if we listen, we can really grow. And especially at this COVID time, we should really listen to what all awareness is being spread so that we stay safe and we stay healthy. And with this, we come to our last speaker for tonight, and that would be Carol. Carol, can you speak and check that if you're unmuted?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And so can everyone else. Please select a number.
Like number 12, please.
Okay, Carol. Okay, so number 12 is said by Ernest Hemingway. I like to listen. I have learned a great deal from listening carefully. Most people never listen. I like to listen. I have learned a great deal from listening carefully. Most people never listen. Over to you, Carol.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. My name is Carol Ashton. I'm from Wetaskiwin, just outside Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I like to listen. I have learned a great deal from listening. I actually work with the deaf sometimes. They can't hear, but they do listen. Sometimes we just need to stop and hear what people are saying. We can hear words, but are we truly listening? Whether you're a professor, a teacher, just a friend, and you're not talking, if people aren't listening to you, those are just words. You truly need to hear. What have you learned? Whether you're in school, whether you're helping a friend or a fellow family member, you need to be listening to what you've heard. What have I learned from listening? Be quiet. Sometimes people don't want an answer. Sometimes people don't want you to fix their problems. Sometimes they just want to be heard. So Toastmasters at a time where we're really valuing family and friendship during this closeness that we're having during the coronavirus. Let's just stop and listen to each other. We can truly hear what they're saying. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Carol. That was really very nice thought said by you today, that listening taught you silence. And I think that's really the golden word for the day, because listen and silent, they both carry the same alphabets. So definitely listening teaches us silence. And with that, we come to the end of our table topic section. May I request our timer Shanshan to please share the timings, and yeah, and we can see the balloting screen on our screens.
All qualifiers, all within time.
Okay, all within time. So may I request the Zoom master to, okay, we are already voting. Voting is going on. Yeah. And with that, I think I should pass the baton to our Toastmaster of the day. Over to you, Dennis. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Pallavi, for some very challenging table topics. One of the things that we forgot to do to add to the challenge is we forgot to request a word of the day. And I'm going to check with our language evaluator, Terence, to see if he has a word of the day for the rest of the people to use tonight, the speakers and the evaluators. Terence, do you have something for us to challenge us?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So just to check, do we have an R counter here?
No, we don't.
Wonderful. I can misbehave.
Okay. Just this week.
Okay. The word of the day, in light of our current situation around the world, is resilience. The word is a noun. Another version of the noun is resiliency. The plural is resiliences, which is a very weird word. So it means the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or challenges. It refers to the attribute of toughness. For example, we celebrate the resiliency of Toastmasters in a time of quarantines, lockdowns, and circuit breakers that we are still able to meet. It also refers to the ability of a substance or an object to bounce back into shape, its elasticity. This may also be metaphorical. For example, your favorite politician is remarkable resilience. He never lets any facts get in the way of his story. So the things that normally when we talk about the word they, because for many of us, English is not our first language. English is not my first language. Mine is Portuguese, but since none of you fala portuguesa, I have to speak English. So the noun resilience first came into the English language in the 1620s and was derived from resilere, which is the Latin word for to recoil or rebound, which our seminarian probably knows. In the 1640s, it came to mean to spring back, again from the same Latin word. And by the 1830s and 1840s, it took on the flavor that we know now. Now, the thing about this word of the day is not just about introducing a word and us using. Language has life. Language is the basis of our civilization. Language borrows from each other. Or in the case of the English language, it runs people down into alleys, steals from them entire vocabularies. The thing about language is that when we use the words and we understand these words, it tells us about history. We are part of that. So when we use our words, please understand that words matter. And I hope that you can try and have fun with this. Over to you, Toastmaster today.
Thank you very much, language evaluator. We will try to use the word resilience or any form of the word resilience during the rest of our meeting. We have everybody, well, not everybody has voted, but a majority of people have voted. So I'm going to go ahead and end the polling so we can see who was the best table topic speaker for today. And according to the ballots, can everybody see that the winner is Vlad? Congratulations, Vlad. Okay, so before we take a short break, I need to do a few more things. I want to make sure that all of the evaluators have the evaluation guides and know who they're evaluating. So I'm going to go over the speaking agenda. There have been a few changes to the program. So right now, as far as I know, speaker number 1 is going to be Abdul Karimi, and his evaluator is Vikas. And make sure, I'm going to make, as I call them out, make sure that evaluators, you have the right forms or you're ready to evaluate your speaker. So Abdul's evaluator is Vikas. Speaker number 2 is Emmanuel, and his evaluator is Angela. Speaker number 3 is Tatiana, and her evaluator is Panos. Speaker number 4 is Naveen, and his evaluator is going to be Phil. Speaker number, now here's where the change is. Speaker number 5 is going to be Pallavi, and her evaluator is Patrick. So I'm not sure, Patrick, you have the information or not. Speaker number 6 is going to be Panos. His evaluator is CJ. Speaker number 7 is going to be Mina, and her evaluator is Emmanuel. Speaker number 8 is going to be Alicia, evaluated by Lee. Speaker number 9 is Hiren, and his evaluation is Muklas. And speaker number 10 is Vikarna, and his evaluator is Alicia. So that is the speaking order as far as I know, unless somebody else has any changes. And those are also the evaluators. So please, everybody, if you are speaking and evaluating, that is the order that I will be calling you after the break. So at this point, let's see, it's 6 after, let's right about a quarter after, 15 past the hour, we'll try to reconvene. So everybody, please take a break so that you will be resilient and come back at quarter past the hour. Okay, we will now be in a 15-minute break, or not 15, roughly 10-minute break. And I will pause the recording at this time. Okay, welcome everybody. We're about ready to start the next part of the Singapore Online English Speaking Toastmasters Club meeting. We have just finished our table topics and now we're ready to start our prepared speakers. And first of all, for all of our speakers and evaluators, make sure that you can see Shanshan, who is our timer. Right now she has a whole bunch of colored stickies on her back, on her wall. So if you can see the pink and yellow and stickies, that's where the timer will be. So please make sure that you can see the timer. And Madam Timer, for almost every speech tonight, they're going to be 5 to 7 minutes long, except for the last 3. So at the last 3, I'll let you know what they are. But for now, all of the speakers will be 5 to 7 minutes in length. Okay. All right. Our first speaker tonight is going to be Abdul Karimi. And he didn't give me much of an introduction because he said, which I'm going to assume that he's a man who needs no introduction. So please help me welcome Abdul Karimi. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Let me back up. We're supposed to check with our evaluator first to make sure that the evaluator knows what the speaker is going to do. So I'm going to ask Vikas, please let us know what Abdul is supposed to be working on tonight. Abdul? I'm sorry, Vikas.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Abdul's speech today is from Pathways. It is the researching and presenting speech. And the purpose of his speech is to learn to review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic of his choosing. The speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Back to you, Mr.
Thank you, Vikas.
Toastmaster.
All right, so now that we're all back from our break and hopefully everybody is really resilient, please help me welcome our next speaker. The title of the speech is Keep on Trying, and our speaker is Abdul Karimi. Abdul, go ahead, take it away. Please unmute. Need to unmute. Someone need to help him unmute. All right, I'll try. Nope. Still need to get him there we go. Okay. Oops. Got him. All right.
Hello, guys, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abdul. I am originally from Afghanistan. Right now, I live in America. I came to this country at the age of 7, about 30 years ago, 31 years ago. Yes, today I would like to talk to you guys and to remind myself that to keep on trying. Keep on trying. Let that sink in your head. It doesn't matter where you're from, what country you are, what nationality, religion. It just doesn't matter. I just want to remind you, to tell you about my story to everybody else, that what I went through, I'll give you 3 stories, very short, precise, and simple. 1, when I came to this country at the age of 7, I went to school in Brooklyn, which is United States, New York. I remember my mother took me to my 2nd grade class, which was my English teacher, which is ESL, second language. I remember when I was going to the classes and my teacher said to me, "Hey, nice to meet you. Do me a favor, sit in the back of the class." So what I did was, no problem. You know, I don't speak the language. I was nervous. Whatever they said, I do it. So me, myself, I'm pretty shy, nervous. You know, I don't know, everything is new in this country to me. So I'm just going with the flow. As the time goes, just go with the flow. So I'm sitting in the back of the class. Just silence. My first day. Just looking around. The first thing comes in my mind. Wow, look at these kids. They're very energetic. They're very inspiring. They're talking and talking, asking questions, confidently, smiling and happy. So I'm just watching them and I feel isolated in the back of the class. Just isolated. Why? Remember, this is my first time in America. So I just go with the flow. And then I come home, my mother tells me, "How was class? How was school?" The first thing I tell her, I was honest, but at the same time, I was hitting it to myself. I said, "School was wonderful. I had a great time," which I didn't have a great time because I was so nervous and shy. So anyway, the second day I go back to school, same thing. Go to the next classes, then the next classes. And I remember my teachers would never ask me a question, never gave me homework, never gave me a test. They just kept on skipping me. Why? Because I was very shy, nervous, shy, didn't speak the language. Long story short, this happened from 2nd grade all the way to high school. This is my 7th year. Kept on going, junior high school, then high school. It was the same exactly thing. The teachers were just kept on passing me and passing me. Who do I blame? Is it me or the teachers? I cannot say the teachers and I cannot say me. Why? Because we have to understand we are new. We come from another country. It's a third world country. It's Afghanistan. I saw everything all around me through the wars and fighting and killing and all of that. Poor people, hungers, no mothers, no fathers, they died in the war, you know, stuff like that. So this was kept on the same thing, but then I never gave up. I kept on what? I kept on trying. So then I ran to this teacher. She asked me questions. Hey, how you doing? Where you from? Why are you nervous? What's the matter? Do me a favor, read this book. I said, I cannot read this book. I just cannot read this book. Why you cannot read this? It's because I cannot read. I never learned it. So she felt what I went through. She pulled me on the side and said, hey, do me a favor. I'll teach you. I'll show you. I'll explain it to you. All you have to do is try your best. Just keep trying. So that stuck into my mind. And then long story short, she kept on helping me. She kept on trying. I kept on trying. She never gave up on me, never gave up on me. So I learned how to read. I learned how to write. And then later on, the second story is that after high school, I went to a construction union work in New York City, which I had a hard time learning, but I never gave up because I kept on trying. In 4 years, this 4 years, I finished it in 2.5 years or 3 years. I got my construction union, I got the license, searched everything, then I became a union member in the construction industry, and I worked at the construction sites in New York City all around. After that, that's what I went through. So that's what I accomplished with that. And then later on, I did volunteer work at the VA hospital. I helped the people from different countries. I just volunteered for 2 years out of my own. Whatever you guys go through in life, just remember to remind your kids, if you have kids, if you have grandkids, let them try, help them out, teach them, let them keep trying. And you also too, whatever you guys went through in life, keep trying, because that trying will help you so much in life that you can really actually literally accomplish anything you want in life. It doesn't matter what it is. You want to improve your communication skills, you want to improve your business, you want to improve your self-development, whatever it is, just remember what I went through and what you went through many years ago. So my question to you guys, are you going to try, or are you going to stop and complain and ponder on whatever you went through in life, or you're going to keep trying until you get what you want? Without trying, there's no growth. Without growth, there's no success. Without success, everything is boomed. Thank you guys. Have a nice day. Back to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdul. Okay, our next speaker, let's see if he's ready. I see him on screen. And let's see, I see Angela. I think I saw Angela. All right, our next speaker is going to be Emmanuel, and his evaluator is Angela. So Angela, would you please let us know what Emmanuel is supposed to be doing tonight?
Good evening, everybody. Emmanuel's subject purpose is to learn or review basic research methods, and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. Can you hear? I can't hear you.
You've got a little
Yes.
bit of an echo in the background.
Right, I can hear you now. I've got the echo.
Okay, I think we've got it. Thank you, Angela. Okay, you can go ahead and mute. Okay, our next speaker is actually doing double duty tonight. He's going to be our speaker, and he's also going to be evaluating later on tonight. He's also he's also a man of who needs no introduction because he didn't provide me one. He must be a famous person. So please help me welcome Emmanuel. The title of his presentation is The Burden of a Meal. And I think we're probably doing a lot that late now. So please help me speaking on The Burden of a Meal, Emmanuel. Take it away, Emmanuel.
A man called John Brilliant Salvin once said, and I quote, "Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you who you are. Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you who you are." Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and guests, we are often said, or it's often said, that we are an embodiment of what we eat. But that, in all, doesn't even worry me. As much as one experience I had years ago, and it bothers me so much that when I wanted to think about something to talk about, it came to fore so rapidly. And that was my travel to one of the northern part of Nigeria. Being a young man, I have lived my entire life in the urban area where you see different kind of people. But again, at the time I had to sojourn to another part of the country, what I saw really dazzled me because I've never seen that kind of experience ever in my entire existence. And I've always realized that in the urban areas, we focus more on, as children, we focus more on how well we do in our grades, how well we survive, how much we can get at the top of the class. But that is not the situation in semi-urban areas or local areas where agriculture is their means of sustenance. I saw children that can barely feed. I saw children that are malnourished. They couldn't eat properly. And that worries me because from my little understanding in science, I got to understand that the food you eat will determine the quality of your brain cells. And looking at some of those children going to school just emphasizes the fact that these children aren't going to get so much from what they are going to do because they don't even eat before class. I mean, that is totally amazing. In 2019, during the World Food Day, the World Health Organization said that malnutrition is a complex problem to solve out. And as levels of undernutrition and obesity rises, something must be done. So I now understand that this problem that I saw in my community is not only a local problem, it is a global problem. In many communities across the world, there are children that are not eating properly so that they cannot have proper education. The World Health Organization also said that malnutrition includes not only eating, but wasting food and not getting inadequate vitamins and minerals. And that records into diet-related non-communicable diseases. It even says that about 45% of the deaths among children under the age of 5 are linked to malnutrition. Let me come again in case you don't get it. 45% of the deaths that is recorded among children under the age of 5 is linked to undernutrition. And most of this data come from low-income countries and middle-income countries. And undernutrition is not only the problem. In certain areas, you find that some children are obese and overweight. And in many countries, obese children are also rising. And it has placed a global burden on humanitarian organizations. When I look back at that experience I had, and I correlate it with the 2018 Global Nutrition Report from UNICEF, which says that malnutrition has unacceptably high effects on every country in the world. But there was a statement that caught me, which says, we have an unprecedented opportunity to earn it. I believe that if we come together as one to fight malnutrition in children, just as we are fighting coronavirus, we are going to have an healthy generation of people that are ready to take over from us. I want to charge us that though the prevalence of malnutrition is high in both low-income and middle-income countries, we can take a bold step as a person to end this scourge that is silently ravaging the world. This is not a problem that is based on one location. It is a global problem. And if you look into your community, you will see that we can set the tone to change the narrative. If each one could reach one, if each one could teach one, what a better world this place would be. Over to you, the Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Our nutrition is very important to all of us, and especially our younger folks. Okay, thank you. See, our next speaker, I'm trying to see if, scroll my screen and see if I can see her. We have our, oh, I see. Okay, our next speaker is a guest to our club, and she is a relatively new Toastmaster, and her evaluator is one of our own members of our club. So, Panos, could you please let us know what Tatiana is supposed to be trying to do tonight?
Thank you so much for introducing me to the stage. Dan is Toastmaster of the evening. Tonight, Tatiana will be giving us a speech from the level 2 in Pathways, which is based on the project Evaluation and Feedback. So Tatiana will be giving us her speech. She will be collecting feedback from me and everybody else in the audience, who hopefully will be sending her a private message with some observations and recommendations. She will be processing the feedback in her own time at her own pace, and then she will apply what she has learned in a future speech. Thank you so much, Tatiana. Looking forward to paying attention to your speech. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Panos. And I neglected to make that comment. Actually, if you have any comments for any of our speakers or evaluators, please use the chat box and send a private message to them. I think everyone would enjoy some feedback from what they did tonight. All right, so our next speaker is going to be Tatiana. Let's see if I can pronounce her last name properly. I hope I can. Skirlikova. And the title of her speech is How to Write an Elevator Speech. And let me give a little background. Tatiana is an accountant from Slovakia, now living in Prague, the Czech Republic, and she is beginning her journey in Toastmasters and now also as a digital speaker. So help me welcome Tatiana. Go ahead, Tatiana.
Elevator pitch. I'm sure you already heard about it a lot. I'm sure you've seen some videos on YouTube how to prepare one. And I'm sure half of you already have one elevator speech. But for those of you who just joined Toastmaster recently and want to become more confident, better speakers, and want to improve their careers, for you, please listen carefully. I've heard about elevator pitch a long time ago, and I always thought, once I will be special, once I have some career, I will prepare an elevator pitch. However, I was wrong. Elevator pitch is precisely for people who want to be somewhere else, who wants to move upward. So how do you prepare quick and clear message for people who don't know you? There are different kinds of pitches. You can pitch your company, you can pitch your project, you can pitch your good idea, or you can pitch yourself. So today I would like to focus on how to pitch yourself. How do you pitch yourself, especially when you still think that you are nobody, especially when you still have very low confidence? So what do you feel when you hear a question, tell us something about yourself? Some people get excited and they just won't talk for hours. Others just get red, uncomfortable. They want to be quiet. They don't want to brag about themselves. They don't like to be in the spotlight. Or they just feel like it's improper to brag, or it's improper to not to listen elders and put themselves in the spotlight. But you know that this excuse not to prepare your elevator pitch ahead won't help you in your life. And it's not only about your career. You can use your elevator pitch when you're on holiday and you meet some wonderful people and they ask you, tell us about yourself, and you feel inappropriate, you feel bad, and you are just quiet. Or you can meet somebody at the bar or airplane. There's somebody sitting next to you and you really want to talk because you are bored, but you don't know what to say. So how do you start? First, the easiest way how to start is to just put down all facts on the paper. Our mind can process only few thoughts at one time. So the best way is to put everything you know about yourself or information on a paper. Don't put you are wonderful or you are bad or you are not so good. Just put there pure facts. I'm a woman. I'm a guy. I am 15 years old. I'm 50. I'm an accountant. I'm an analyst. Don't put there I'm senior analyst. I'm junior analyst. Just pure facts stripped to all adjectives. Once you have these facts, you can start to create a story. You can start to create what you want to say. Then strip this story to the core because you want to be clear and short and precise. So all these stories to 3 sentences about yourself, and then practice. Practice until it feels natural, until you believe, you emphasize with yourself. Sometimes we become something that we never thought we will become. Like I became a teacher, and I still feel very odd when I say that I'm a teacher. That's why you have to practice in front of mirror, in the woods, with dictaphone. Once it feels natural to you, go outside and tell your story to others. You will see their reaction in their faces, and then you will adjust your story based on the reaction, based on expression in other people's faces. And there you go, then you have your pitch. So how to do it? Put all the facts about you on the paper. And once you have everything in blank ink on one paper, create a story. Then strip your story to its core. Make it only 3 or 4 sentences. Then practice aloud and then use it in front of people, with your friends, with people on the street. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. Very good information for us today. Okay, I've got to make a change in the program. One of our evaluators had a family emergency and he will not be able to evaluate. So the evaluator for speaker number 4, Phil, is not here. So I need to have someone please take over the evaluator for the next speaker, or actually speaker number 4. I'm going to switch the order and bring up the next speaker after Naveen, so that whoever is going to volunteer to be the evaluator for Naveen has a chance to look at the evaluation guide. So please, can I have a volunteer to evaluate Naveen, who is working on an engaging humor presentation? I have the information in the chat box. Need an evaluator, please. This is like table topics, but only a little bit longer. It's 1 minute longer than table topics. Any volunteers, please? I see Angela moving her hands frantically, but she's muted. Okay, anybody please volunteer? Okay, I see in the chat box somebody is volunteering. Anna. Okay, I see Yasmin. Okay, whoever unmutes first and says something, I will let that person do it. So please, someone speak up, unmute yourself, and let me know if you can evaluate the next speaker.
I can if you want, but whoever wants, they can get it.
Okay, I just saw Carol raise her hand. Carol, can you do that, please?
Yep.
Okay, if you scroll back in the chat box, you should see the evaluation guide for Naveen. I put it in there a little while ago. If not, I can go ahead and put it back in, but I will give you a chance to look at that. I'm going to skip to our next speaker and then come back to Naveen. Okay, what I'll do, Carol, I'll go ahead and introduce the next speaker, and while I do that, I will put it back in the chat box for you if you can't find it. You're muted. So I still can't. Okay, Carol, I'll go ahead and I'll put it back in there for you. Okay. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to skip. This is trying to be really resilient tonight. Okay, I'm going to move on to our next speaker, who's going to be Pallavi, and Patrick is her evaluator. So Patrick, are you ready to evaluate Pallavi? I know I'm making a lot of changes here, but see, Patrick, are you online? Where'd you go? Did we lose our next evaluator too? Oh no, there he is. Okay, Patrick, you need to unmute, please. Okay, I'll try. Okay, you're unmuted.
Yeah, it's the first meeting that I've ever attended that I was not able to unmute myself.
Okay. You're unmuted right now, so go ahead.
Yeah, that is the first time that I've never been able to unmute myself. Very interesting procedure there. It is my pleasure to evaluate Pallavi Singh, who is working on the Advanced Communication Series Special Occasion Speeches. Assignment 2, Speaking in Praise. And the objectives are to prepare a speech praising or honoring someone, either living or dead, and address the 5 areas concerning the individual and his or her accomplishments. use anecdotes illustrating points within the speech. This is a fantastic assignment. I remember when I did it, and I look forward to listening to your speech. Good luck.
Okay. Thank you very much, Patrick. I'll let you try to mute yourself. That way you will be able to unmute yourself again. Okay, now let's see, Willie. Pallavi needs to be able to share her screen. So please, whoever is webmaster, please let Pallavi be able to share her screen. I'll make sure that she can do that before we get started. So Pallavi, are you able to share your screen yet, Pallavi? Do I need to unmute you too? Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
I've got unmute option. Yeah, just a second.
Okay, can you share your screen?
Yes, on the way.
Okay, okay, you ready? I'll go ahead and introduce you.
Can I put my screen on?
Yeah, go ahead and make sure that it'll switch. Okay, good, it does work. All right.
And can I just pin up Shanshan?
Oh, yeah, make sure. Shanshan, she has all of those stickies on her wall. Can you see all the yellow and purple and stickers, yellow stickies on the wall?
Okay, yeah, she's there.
Okay,
But
ready?
I'm unable to pin her.
Oh, probably because you're sharing your screen a bit. Do you have some kind of a stopwatch device that you can use?
I manage it. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, Pallavi, I'm going to go ahead and introduce your presentation. Okay, our next presenter is Pallavi Singh. She's an advanced communicator silver. And the title of her speech is DTM Lakshmi. And for this project, Pallavi's pondered over a lot and came up with several names in and out of Toastmasters world who have helped her carve her niche at various turns of her life. When all of a sudden a person sprung up who is the reason for her existence, who is the reason for what she is, and with whom we can all resonate our lives in different aspects in different ways. For her, it's DTM Lakshmi. Please help me welcome Pallavi speaking on DTM Lakshmi.
Okay, thank you so much, Dennis. As all of you know that today I'm doing a speech from the traditional path. So it's quite obvious that I am in my pursuit to achieve my DTM. And when I'm treading on this particular pursuit of mine, it just struck me that how can I not acknowledge the efforts and values that DTM Lakshmi has given me, has instilled, invoked, and inspired me to. She is the driving force behind what I am. It is truly said that behind every successful man stands a woman. But over here, whatever I am today, successful or whatever, is just because of DTM Lakshmi. Dear fellow Toastmasters from across the world, wishing you all a fantastic, fabulous Friday. DTM Lakshmi is not a Toastmaster from Toastmaster International. Still, she is a DTM. She is truly a devoted, distinguished teacher and mother, Lakshmi. Yes, you've got it right. She is my mother, Lakshmi Singh. And she has flawlessly acquired both the pathways of leadership as well as communication, and hence she is a DTM by all means. For me, she is such a remarkable and indomitable lady that to pick out what are the worthy paths from her life, it's really very difficult, but still I have picked up 5 things which are really a strong pillar for me and on which I stand tall today. The first one is that she's always taught me to believe in self. Be confident always. Even NLP practitioners reinforce the same thing. And I'm glad that despite of not being an NLP practitioner, she has always followed what is required to create a distinctive place for herself. So the most important thing she has taught me in my life is always believe in self, come what may. I do not want to narrate the entire story of my mother, but yes, I need to mention that she had a lot of struggles. At the time when women were not educated, she was a postgraduate, she was a university professor, but she let go everything for the sake of her family, to raise her family. And she did it so well that today I feel that whatever confidence I have, it is because of my mom. Even at the times when I am a bit shaky, I know I have an anchor to bank on, and it's my mom. Just a phone call away, and she's there, always boosting the confidence in me. Moving to the second pillar. Ever since I was a small child, DTM Lakshmi always told me, Lavi, that is my name, and I resonate myself with Mummy because she is Lakshmi. I would just like to share a small story which would show that how committed she is to her family. My father's name starts with P. We are 4 siblings, and all of us have our name starting with P. But please note that my name was changed from Lavi to Pallavi in standard 5 because she wanted all the childs to be named after the father's alphabet. But I share a special bond with my mom, and I really love when people call me Lavi and associate me by the name Lavi. So she said me, Lavi, you know, friends may go and come. Friends may be right or wrong, but the books are the man's best friend. They can never be wrong. You be right in selecting the right thing, and they'll be always there with you. Be whatever path you are following, wherever you are in the world, it will be there, sharing the knowledge, and knowledge is the universe. And since then, I have never stopped reading books. Until date, my mom is teaching me the book of life. At various stages, she helped me tread smoothly. I myself am mother of 2 sons, but at times, I really need my mom because she is my best friend too. So I have 2 best friends, books and my mom. The third pillar that she instilled in all 4 of us when we were young kids is a man is recognized by his or her surrounding. It is very, very necessary to keep yourself surrounded by nice people. If you want to really grow and progress in your life, if you want to learn something meaningful, it is very necessary that you stay with good people around. Positivity, law of attraction also says, positivity reinforces positivity. Likewise, like-minded people reinforce like-minded people. So if you want to really succeed, be surrounded by positive men and positive people. Because if you want to fly high with eagles, you cannot hang out with the crows. So you need to be surrounded by good people. And that's what I'm doing till today. And the fourth and the most infallible thing that I really admire about DTM Lakshmi is she is highly independent. She does not need anyone's support for anything. And let me tell you, she left her job long back, but she is financially independent too. And that through by her own means. She is indomitable. You tell her any task that you are unable to do, and I promise my mother can get it done. That's her magic, that's her aura. And her friends and her seniors and her teachers whom I have met, they simply say that she lives as to her name. And in Hindu, Lakshmi means goddess of wealth. She is literally a goddess of prosperity in every discipline. And as such, she is so inspirational that anyone who meets her is really like so awe-inspired by her aura that they really feel to be even 1% like her. If they become 1% like her, they have accomplished a lot many things. Last but not the least is being selfless and giving. As I mentioned, that she is a thorough independent lady. She is very selfless. She taught me one thing the very day I got married, and she said, Lavi, everything starts with you. If you are there, fit, fine, and healthy, loving everyone, you can take care of everything. So first take care of yourself and then love everyone. Despite of herself suffering from so many ailments, she is out there helping the people in COVID times, the needy people. And she always asks me also to always carve a certain % of your salary to the charity part, and the rest God will take care. And at the end, I would say that it's I salute to all the moms in each one of our lives who are helping us in every step of our life. We cannot measure motherhood, but yes, we can salute them. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Polly. That was a very good tribute to your mother. Very nice. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Actually, Panos, I'm gonna go back to Naveen. So Panos, you can stand by. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go backtrack. Our next speaker is going to be Naveen, who I skipped over so that his evaluator had a chance to look at the guide. So Naveen's evaluator is going to be a stand-in evaluator for us. Thank you very much, Carol, for standing in. Carol, could you please let us know what Naveen is supposed to be doing today? Oops, you unmute. Let's see. Okay, go ahead, Carol.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Naveen will be working on a speech which is called Engage Your Audience with Humor. The speech time is 5 to 7 minutes. The purpose of this speech is for the member to determine their style of humor. Apply it to a speech that centers around central message. The project is working to develop their ability as a humorous speaker to better understand their own sense of humor. The member will deliver a well-organized speech. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you very much, Carol. All right, our next speaker gave me a very short introduction, so that's what I'm going to do. Our next speaker is Naveen. The title of his speech is The Weight Loss Anomaly. Please help me welcome, or his introduction is, hi, I'm Naveen, a Toastmaster. Please help me welcome Naveen talking about his weight loss anomaly. Where'd you go, Naveen? Okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Hey, good evening, everyone. It's evening here in Singapore, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for having me, Toastmaster of the day. As you all know, losing weight is a phenomenon around the world. Whether you're a man or a woman, no matter what age, we still can get fat. For me, it's been a struggle. It's like on a hot day, you're on the road, you're walking on a desert road, and it's really dry weather, and there's like this last drop of Coke, a last drop of Coke that you need to take, and it's right at the bottom of the bottle, and you're just like wanting to let that last drop into your mouth. That is like your goal, but it doesn't come out. It's like so concentrated that it doesn't pour out of that bottle. So like it's basically like a yo-yo, up and down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my weight loss anomaly. When I try to lose weight, it always comes back up. When I don't try to lose weight, I just lose it easily. It's really strange. There are 3 types of people that are classified, body types that can lose weight, or they can try to lose weight, or they have lost weight. One is the ectomorph. These people are really slim, they're skinny, it's hard for them to gain weight. And they can eat like a python. You can eat anything and they don't gain weight. Talking about python, I just saw the news that there was a python on the streets of Singapore. Yep. And these people, they don't gain weight at all. So I envy these people. But for them to gain weight and go into the bodybuilding circuit or weightlifting, it's difficult for them to gain weight. I have friends who are like that, unfortunately. They tell me their woes and their stories, and I listen. And then there's the second type, the endomorph, which is me. No, we gain weight very easily. It's like, you know, if I ate a piece of rice, I might get fat tomorrow. You know, I might gain 2 kgs like that. You know, these people are really bulky, and they can it's not difficult for them to gain muscle mass, but it's difficult for them to cut on and, you know, get their definition for muscle definition. And that's me. That's the guy I am. And then there's the mesomorph. These people are blessed with a good metabolism, good body. They can, you know, they can eat anything, and they still, you know, have the V shape, have that 6-pack. And these people are the envious one. No, they can just eat whatever high caloric food, and they like cake, you know, donuts, stuff like that. I've seen these people in gym, you know, and I keep asking them, what's your secret all these years? You know, they tell me that no, there's no secret. I'm just built like this. So we gotta be, you know, gotta be realistic where we stand. But I like to think of myself as the 4th category when it comes to dieting. The deserter. When it comes to dessert, I become a deserter. I leave my diet. That's me, the 4th category. Sometimes we get delusional when we're in the diet, when we're doing the diet. The other day, a few years back, you know, I thought to myself, I've been dieting, I've been exercising, and hey, you know, how come my pants are getting tighter? So I thought to myself, oh, could it be that, you know, my pants are shrinking because I'm putting them in the washer too much? So I checked my waist size, and yes, I've gained weight. So that is one way to delude yourself into thinking you didn't gain weight, is to tell yourself that, hey, my pants are tighter because I put them in the washer. The other thing is, my stomach, when you look down, you know, you can see your feet, you're fine. But if you can't see your feet, I mean, you got to be a bit worried. Being that kind of person, I tried dieting, I tried exercising, hitting the gym more often, doing cardio more often, but it doesn't work too well for me. So what I did was I tried to improve my sleep quality, and because of that, I did lose weight. So all along, it's because of my sleep quality. That is giving me the problem, and it's not my diet or my exercise. So that was a gold mine. I've not been getting enough sleep. So ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, there's always that blind spot when it comes to your diet and exercise. And for me, it was sleep. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Dennis.
Thank you very much, Naveen. That's an interesting way to think of how to lose weight. Just stay in bed and sleep. I think a lot of us like to do that, especially after the alarm clock goes off and we're not ready to get up. So instead of saying that we're going to sleep in, we're just say, I'm going to stay in bed and lose weight. Thank you. CJ, are you ready to evaluate Panos? Let us know what you're going to be looking for.
Yes, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, CJ. Let us know what you're going to be looking for in this Panos' presentation.
Hey, Panos. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his primary style. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share the impact of his style on others. Timing is 5 to 7 minutes. Good luck, Panos.
Okay, thank you, CJ. Okay, and let me let you know what Panos is going to be talking about. The introduction he has here is he says, you know you need to change something when it's clearly not working, but what if this something is in yourself? The title of his presentation is The Top is Not Your Last Stop. The top is not your last stop. Please help me welcome Panos. Panos, go ahead and take it away.
Sweat everywhere. Silence everywhere. Snow everywhere. We were 4 men on top of a steep mountain slope. 4 mountaineers tied with each other with mountaineering rope. Ever heard of the phrase step by step? When you're mountaineering on a steep mountain slope, this takes on a whole new meaning as you're dragging slowly, step by step, your heavy boots. Because every step might as well be your last one. You're relying on this, a simple piece of rope. No, not quite. You're relying on who this rope is tied to. 4 men on a steep mountain slope, tied with each other, moving step by step, looking at the mountain top. And then it happened. My fellow mountaineer, let's call him Patrick, decided that he had enough. His mind quit before his body did. He jumped and said, that's it, that's the end of me. I'm not going any further. Can you imagine how I felt at that moment? I had a goal. I could only see the mountain top. I could imagine myself on top of this mountain top. At that moment, everything changed. At that moment, my past, my present, and my future collided. There was clearly something not working. But was that the fact that our team has stopped, or that I was called to adapt to a change? You see, at this very moment, I had a personal goal, and I was ignoring the team goal. You see, my personal goal was that I would make it to the top. Emphasis on the I. I might have been tied closely to my team, but I couldn't see them. I could only see the top. My past self includes a direct communication style. No excuses. Focus on the goal and go get it. In that very moment, when my teammate had called it a day, my past self was still alive inside of me. But there was something clearly not working. Was that kind of directness what my teammate, Patrick, needed the most? On that mountain slope, 4 men in the middle of the snowfall stopped and had an intelligent discussion. My present self knew that I know better, knew that I could focus on Patrick's needs, my team's needs, as much as my own. In that moment, I found a sense of balance. I expressed my needs. I expressed my need and my desire to make it to the top. But at the same time, I listened. I listened to Patrick, who had just dug his mountaineering ice axe into the snow, sat on the snow and said, I cannot make it any further. I listened. And then I thought, what kind of communicator do I want to be? Do I want to be direct or do I want to be supportive? I'm thankful that my team inspired me to choose the latter. I became supportive. I realized that my direct self perhaps was telling me that I do not need Patrick to make it to the top. I could make it on my own. But wouldn't that be the same as me cutting the very rope that until then supported my own life? I decided to stay tight and to tell Patrick that it does not matter, because this is the kind of communicator that I aspire to be in the future, a supportive communicator. Fellow Toastmasters, do not cut the rope. Stay tied to those you value, because this stop is not your last stop. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Panos. Sometimes we need to be tied to people, but other times we need to forge ahead to keep going where we want to go. So thank you very much. And trying to keep on going, our next speaker, let me see if I got all the information here. Okay. Our next speaker is Mina, and her evaluator is Emmanuel. So Emmanuel, are you ready to evaluate Mina's presentation? And do you have the information that you need? Emmanuel? Okay, go ahead, man. Whoops, I'll try to unmute you.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yes, Emmanuel, do you have all the information?
Okay. Yes, so I'll be evaluating the next speaker who is speaking from the Advanced Communication series. And he's doing the third project, which is on the monodrama. The speaker is expected to display that he understands the concept and the nature of monodrama, and also show us with a 5 to 7 minutes presentation that he can assume the identity of a character and portray the physical and emotional aspects of this character to an audience. Like I said before, he has 5 to 7 minutes, and I expect to find a fantastic and wonderful monodrama. Over to you, the Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Okay, someone has some background noise. Okay, our next speaker is going to be Mina, and the title of her presentation is, let me see. Okay, what if the baby can speak? And Mina's in her introduction says that Mina is a wonderful mother doing the best in everything for her baby at all times. She has changed her hobby from reading books to reading baby blogs to do better things for her baby. So please help me welcome Mina speaking on what if the baby can speak. Go ahead, Mina. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay. Okay, Mina.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yeah, go
Can
ahead.
everyone hear me? Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Today, I'm going to tell you, or rather perform, a monodrama, or a monologue of the tiny, tiny humans in the world. I, as a mother of a 1.5-year-old, consider myself an experienced person to talk to you about the unheard words of babies. You would have heard stories of parents about the sleepless nights, about their notorious kids. You would have witnessed babies and kids being very adamant and notorious in the outside world. You would have thought, what makes them be so notorious? Or what is happening between the parent and the baby? Why don't the parent understand what the baby is trying to say and do what it needs? Come on and let's dive into this. Today, there will be two characters, a mother and a baby. But remember, this is a monodrama, so the baby is the one who you will listen to. And you're going to hear the story from a baby's side who is not able to speak yet, or rather who is not into the age of speaking yet. I have two scenarios to narrate, and the first scenario is, before that, remember to listen carefully because this is a language of the tiny humans. Okay? The first scenario is a mother is trying to feed her baby. It's one fine day. Mother is preparing something in the kitchen. Let me play with my favorite toy. Yeah, the remote is my favorite toy. Let me check. This looks funny. I can change the channels. Mommy, 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 see, I'm able to change the channels, mommy. Okay, I got the favorite cartoon. And, oh no, my mommy is coming towards me. No problem, she's not so hard, she won't drag the remote from me. But wait, what is she having in her hand? A bowl? Oh, that doesn't matter, probably she's going to eat her food. Wait. She's coming towards me and that's my bowl. Oh no, she's going to feed me again. The same cereal. No. I need to find a way. The baby thinks fast. Come on. I have to find a way to escape this cereal. Let me hide there. No. The mommy knows that place. Let me hide here. No. She found me yesterday there. Let me hide under the table. But mommy told me that there are two big pussycats. But pussycats are better than mommies when mommy's especially coming with food. Let me go run before the mom comes. And the baby is hidden. There goes the first scenario. The baby hides under the table and mommy fights between the baby and the food. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear the second scenario and from the perspective of a baby. Off we go to sleep. Yes, that's the most important thing in a day. Baby is sitting with her favorite toy again. Na 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 na. The favorite cartoon is here. Little Dolly went to bed. Little Dolly went to bed. Na 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 na. Wow, a nice movie is going to come up on the TV. Let me sit back and watch. Da, 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 da. Yay! Ha 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 ha. Here she comes again. What is she thinking? She's bringing a bottle of milk. No, no, no. She's gonna put me into bed. No, she's making that bed too. No, 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 no. Now, what should I do? Oh no. Don't drag me. Please, 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 please. Don't drag me. I want to watch the movie. Please, please, please. No, she wanted. She dragged me to bed. Now what? Mommy, I'm going to sing the same song again. The same lullaby. Please grow up. Twinkle, twinkle, little star is not a lullaby. It's the rhymes. My friends are listening to live lullabies on YouTube. Please grow up, mommy, please. For heaven's sake, don't sing that again. What shall I do? What shall I do? What shall I do? Maybe, shall I pretend asleep? Yeah, the baby goes off asleep. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the two scenarios of a baby reacting to mommy's push and pull. Here, you have heard the tiny human beings and their little languages and what would they have spoken if they are pushed into a scenario. These are just imaginary, but this is what I learned from my baby's little ma, moo, ma, and etc. But what I learned is don't force your baby into anything. Let her do and tell her what is good for her. She will definitely get convinced. So the learning for the day is don't push your kids, don't force them to do anything. Make them understand and make them do it and tell them it is the right thing to do. With that, back to you, Toastmaster today.
Thank you very much, Nina. Very good advice for anybody who's still a parent with a young child, actually with any child, whether it be young or not. Okay, our next speaker is Alicia and her evaluator is Lee. Lee, are you ready to evaluate Alicia's presentation?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the evening. The next speaker is Alicia Chia. She will be speaking from the Advanced Manual Storytelling, and her project is Project 5, Bringing History to Life. There are two objectives for this speech: to understand the purpose of stories about historical events or people, and to use the storytelling skills developed in the preceding projects to tell a story about a historical event or people. The timing is 7 to 9 minutes. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lee. Okay, Shanchan, did you get that? That the timing is, on this speech is different. It'd be 7 to 9. So it should probably be 7, 8, and 9. Is that good for you, Alicia? 7, 8, and 9?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me introduce our next speaker, who's going to be doing a storytelling. The title for speech is The History of Singapore in Objects. And what Alicia says is that the iconic objects that highlights the culture, excuse me, let me start again. The iconic objects that highlights the culture and lifestyle which impacts the history of early modern Singapore. So what Alicia is going to be doing is telling us the history of Singapore in objects. Go ahead, Alicia.
Let me share my screen.
Okay. Do you want to start the slideshow? There.
Okay. very good afternoon, a very good evening to club president, guests, and members. History of Singapore in objects. I will tell the story of Singapore chronologically order, where I start from the early centuries all the way to the modern times. And from this chronological order, I'll show how Singapore developed from swamp active trading center to what it has become an urban successful city. With that, one of the best ways to tell history of Singapore is by objects. And there are many objects that tell the story of Singapore all the way from different century. As you can see, I'm telling it in at least 6 different time categories. Now, the first interesting folklore of Singapore is called the Singapore Stone. And this occurred during the 10th to 14th century. This huge sandstone once stood at the mouth of Singapore River and is believed to span 3 meters in both height and width. The face of the slab, one side of it were 50 lines of inscription measuring 1.5 meters in height and 2.1 meters in width. The inscription is in Kawi script and contains some Sanskrit words, but has not been fully deciphered. And I was saying the folklore of the Singapore Stone, right? So there's this myth of the Singapore Stone and the strong man called Badang. This was found in the Sejarah Melayu, Malay Annals, and is a chronicle of the Malay courts of Singapore and Malacca from the 14th and 16th century. According to one version of the folklore, Badang was a slave who worked to clear the forest for his owner. One day, Badang caught a genie in a fishing net at the Singapore River, and the genie agreed to grant Badang one wish in exchange for his release. Thinking it would help him in his work, Badang asked to be the strongest man in the land. The genie told Badang that he had to eat his vomit if he wanted strength. So Badang ate the genie's vomit and became very strong. He was even able to uproot trees effortlessly. Badang's immense strength caught the attention of King Sri Rawa Vikrama, and he was eventually summoned to court, appointed the commander-in-chief of the army. His strength also drew the attention of other regional leaders, such as one of the kings in India, who sent his country's own champion, Nadi Vijaya Vikrama, to the Malay archipelago to compete with Badang. The winner of the duel would be the one who could lift a large rock in front of the palace. Nadi managed to lift the stone up before dropping it, but Badang lifted up the stone and flung it towards the Singapore River, where it lays there for a very long time and thus became known as the Singapore Stone. Now, in 1843, the British blew up the stone to build Fort Fullerton and colonial living quarters. Only one of the 3 fragments of the stone remains, measuring about 74 centimeters in width, and is now at display at the National Museum of Singapore. So now this Singapore Stone is actually depicting and preserving our heritage and reminds us that economic development and modernity does not have to come at the expense of our history. Now in 1700 onwards, we have the durian. And the durian is one of the king of the fruits in Southeast Asia. The fruit tastes like custard-like and comes in various varieties like D24, Maoshawang, and you can make into cream puffs, cakes, ice cream, chocolates, milkshakes, and even mooncakes. But it's banned in Singapore MRT because of the pungent smell, which can linger in spaces for days. Now, durian was commercially cultivated in the early 20th century. The scientific name is called Teodorescu, and it's actually a Malay word which refers to thorns, okay? And the other part, zebeto, stands for Italian for civet cat, for the strong odor. And then, of course, in the 1800s, there's also the Malay coin of Satu keeping. This coin was found in the Sultan's residence in Kampong Gelam. In those days in Singapore, before it became known as Singapore, there was a Sultan in Singapore, and this is the Malay Heritage Center in the present Kampong Glam. And this depicts Singapore history as a vibrant trading center. And then you can see the coolie trousers in the 1800s. It's quite a cool pair of coolie trousers, which I think came back into trend. I would have worn this as part of my casual pants. Coolies are Singapore's labor force. It was backbone of the labor force in those days, who did hard physical labor, who worked in the ports, plantations, construction sites, and even rickshaw pullers. In the 19th to 20th century, they came to Singapore to seek their fortune, and they were unskilled. So coolie comes from the Hindi word coolie, and they were believed to be from a tribe from Gujarat in Western India. And this is a night saw bucket from 1880s to 1887. Before the sewage system came about, Singapore was using a wooden shack with a galvanized metal bucket. So the night man came to collect all this night saw in the bucket. And another major milestone that happened in Singapore was the Treaty of Singapore in 1819. As you can see, this treaty was signed between Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, the Sultan of Hussein, and the Temanggung Abdul Rahman. This treaty stated that the Sultan would receive an annual salary, and the Temanggung also receive annual salary, Spanish, few $1,000s a year, right? And thus, Singapore became a trading port for the British. And finally, there's an opium pipe there, which opium smoking was very popular in the 1820s, as it was legalized by the British, but later on it was banned in the 1920s due to rising anti-sentiment against smoking opium. Let's go to the next era, 1844 to 1945. Here are some of the interesting things during the era. This is the earliest photos of Singapore. And then we have the iconic Raffles Hotel building, which was opened in 1887. This Raffles Hotel became a Singapore landmark. In fact, it was gazetted as a national monument in 1987 and re-gazetted in 1995. And then we have this delicious looking bak kwa thing, which emerged during the early 1990s. Bak kwa is a sweet, savory charred meat, which actually came from Hokkien, Fujian province. And it became a national kind of delicacy dessert that was set up by Mr. Lim Chi Guan of the Kim Hock Guan famous brand and B. Cheng Hiang. And we have also the very famous morning towel, good morning towels, which were used by the laborers, but now you can see them in salons and even the coffee shop workers. And we have this popular tiger balm and tiger beer. The iconic tiger beer where this famous phrase, give the man a tiger. This is CK Tang, our first retailer who set up the famous CK Tang shopping center in Orchard Road. This is his metal suitcase, which he came to Singapore as an immigrant. And tapioca was once a popular dish during the war days, where there was hardly any food to eat. And then we came into the interesting period, 1942 to 1960, where we have Rediffusion, which came before the TV sets. And Rediffusion allowed people to listen to all sorts of interesting radio channels, especially dialects. And this came about before the Speak Mandarin campaign. And we have the HDB key envelope. HDB was the iconic board that set up and make sure that Singaporeans got good public housing. This was the past, and now we have this portable folder that were given to modern purchasers. We have also chicken rice that developed in the 1950s. This is the dish that represents Singapore. And Tan Hao Liang's first Olympic medal in 1960. Now for the more modern times, 1904 to 1979, this was a time where we had more, that it was during the independence period where we had Malayan. We even had the recording of Lee Kuan Yew announcing the separation of Singapore. Some people may remember the coinophone, which was very popular in most public places. You just need to put 10 cents. And iconic SIA Kebaya, which is the main, shall I say, long-standing icon of Singapore. And the SIA girl became an icon of Singapore Airlines as well. And Singapore was also famous for campaigns. Don't keep long hair, courtesy campaign as well. And for the more present times, we even have our own national orchid, which is a hybrid, named after vendor who developed this hybrid orchid. And we have Catherine Lee, the author who wrote this, Or Else the Lightning God, which became the book for O levels. And we have some interesting behaviors in Singaporeans where we use tissue papers to reserve places in coffee shops and hawker centers. You will hardly see this in any other country. And
Malaysia, time's up already. 12 minutes, 13 minutes already.
Just let me finish. This is my last slide.
Not only me, all the private message coming in already.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I end now.
Thank you very much, Alicia. There's a lot of things to talk about in Singapore. We'll need a part 2 for your presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, we got another change in the program. I need to have someone evaluate Hiren's presentation right now. We don't have an evaluator for him. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the last speaker and then go back. So Hiren is giving a short presentation. Do I have a volunteer to do Hiren's presentation? He's going to be doing a speech on just giving a roast. So if someone would please volunteer for that, I'll send you the information for Hiren's. Anybody? It should be a short evaluation since the presentation is short. No takers. Okay, Joan, thank you. Joan, I'll send the information in the chat to you. Thank you very much, Joan. Okay, we'll move on to our last, well, not really our last speaker, the last speaker on my list anyway. Okay, our next speaker is going to be Vikarna, and his evaluator is going to be Dr. Buckley. Doctor, could you please give us a little bit of information of what you're going to be looking for? There you go, you're unmuted. Thank you.
Hello, Toastmasters from around the world. With all the challenging things, including getting in, I know we are doing a great job as a whole team together. Our next speaker is going to talk about storytelling. His assignment number 4, the touching story. His objectives are to understand the techniques available to arouse emotion, to become skilled in arousing emotions while telling a story. And timing is 6 to 8 minutes. Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let me introduce our next presenter. And Shanchan, her speech is supposed to be 6 to 8 minutes in length. So the next speaker is going to be Vikarna. He says that he is all about traversing different emotions. Sounds pretty interesting. The title of his speech is "The Sky is the Limit." The sky is the limit. Please help me welcome Vikarna, who's going to be talking about traversing different emotions. Okay, where'd you go? Okay, I got to unmute. Okay, there you go, Vikarna. You should be unmuted now.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can I just request Panos to maybe just unmute his mic just so that I can look and get some reactions from people when I'm actually talking, because I find when I'm doing a speech and I'm getting 0 feedback, I don't know which way I'm going. So I'd love, I don't need somebody to be extra expressive, but I just need, I'm volunteering Panos just to unmute his mic, so that way is there a chuckle or something, at least I know, you know, more than anything else. So if you can just go ahead, unmute his mic, that would be great. I see it's been unmuted, that is awesome. And let me start. Have you sometimes struggled with a speech or with certain topics and wondered how you should be doing them? You sometimes start writing them, then you rewrite them. Don't despair. I have been in that same area as well. There is no golden or magic pill. Good day, Toastmasters and guests from all over the world. Let me share with you what I experienced last week. There seems to be bad news all around us. People getting laid off, corporate scandals. The virus is haunting all of us. I started on the speech on Sunday evening and was focusing on elation, but all the news I've received for the last few days has just been sad. On Sunday, I got to know that my parents' neighbor, Mr. Jhunjhunwala, who I'd seen while growing up and till my last visit, had passed away. On Monday, a local sports legend passed away. I met Annabelle a few years ago at a sports dinner and we clicked. Some of you who are from Singapore may have read a couple of articles about her. For the rest of you, let's just leave it as she was quite a sports woman. On Tuesday, I got to know a friend's father had passed away. He couldn't make it down for his father's funeral because of the COVID-19 situation. On Wednesday, Philip, a gentleman who I used to golf with quite a few times last year, passed away as well. On Thursday, I got to know 2 of my dogs who had left underneath somebody else's charge and didn't bring them to Singapore, passed away. Man, these are all sad, sad, sad news. You know, I was like more or less in tears most of the days. With the culmination of all the sad news, it made me wonder if I needed to rework my speech, as I'd been thrown off of it a couple of times. Everything was going in the reverse order. Nothing was going towards elation. That's when I realized it does not matter what life throws at you. You have to counter it by positive and something to negate that other effect. It'll not be the first time. It'll not be the last time when you hit a hitch or a big obstacle in your path to overcome it. Just like Abdul had said earlier on in his speech, he was always relegated to the backbench of the class because they were not sure, the teachers were not sure if he would be able to manage or cope up. And he just never gave up. The same way, you have to overcome it. He had a teacher who sat down with him and explained him a book. Same way as Lakshmi, who had a great mother who coached her through every part. And Panos, you had a colleague when you were mountaineering who you had to coach to get to the top, and the top wasn't the end. The same way in life, we just don't give up. We just keep continuing. Always remember, nobody can stop you. They can only slow you down. They can't stop you. So I thought about all the deaths. And yes, I was sad. But then I looked at it as a celebration of their life. They all had achieved a lot. They were all stalwarts in their respective fields. They had great accomplishments. Emotions is something which is part and parcel of your daily life. We can feel different emotions throughout the day. They can be triggered by watching a WhatsApp video or hearing a colleague or a friend narrate a story. It is not just limited to the two examples which I've just mentioned. If I was your boss and I suddenly said, I am going to give you your, what is that evaluation called? If I was going to give you your performance review tomorrow, all of a sudden you would get worried because it was a little unexpected. And some of us automatically get worried when we hear the word performance review. Well, don't get worried, because always remember, I will tell you what I used to go through when I used to hear the word performance evaluation. I used to break out in a cold sweat. I used to be nervous. That whole day, I used to be jittery, couldn't really eat. But always remember, performance review is always about trying to improve yourself. They are not trying to fault find you. They are just trying to improve you. So if you know that in the back of your head, you will be a lot more calmer and a lot, and be able to deal with all the feedback you're getting. Now, remember, it's the fear which makes you worried. It's the fear which prevents you from trying new things. It's the fear is not your friend. Your fear is your enemy. We fear failure, so we don't try new things. The fear of failure prevents you to even succeed because you're already so frightened that you're going to fail that you actually end up failing. So we never take that first step. Always remember, take that first step. Don't worry about failing. Keep in mind, till you don't try, you won't know. Last week, Pallavi shared a great story with us about the donkey being, mud being thrown onto the donkey. Now, each time the donkey just stepped on it and used it as a stepping stone. That's what you need to do with your failures. Don't ever get cowed down by them. You want to keep going and keep going. they will turn into a success. Something else which I also want to mention to you is you can never feel more than one emotion. You can only feel one emotion at a time. So you can either be happy or you can be sad. I can guarantee you one thing, it is always better to be happy than to be sad. Remember, for you to reach for your potential, don't worry about what other people think. Worry about how will you get there. The sky is the limit. There's nothing there to stop you. The only reason to stop you, it is you yourself. It is your self-doubt. So self-doubting yourself, but just keep continuing. If you choose you can do it, you will be able to do it. It is only when you start doubting yourself that you can't do it, that you will not be able to do it. You have everything to prove. The moment you think you can't do it, you have all the naysayers on the sideline saying, ah, I told you he couldn't do it. Ah, there he is. There's where he stumbled. But don't give up. There's only some other things I want to say. 2 last lines for you. Just do it. Nothing is impossible. Go get your dreams. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you very much, Vakara. Yes, we all need to keep a very positive attitude because whatever we think, we will probably end up doing. So if you're going to do something, think positive. Okay, we have one more speaker for the evening, and this will be hopefully the last amount of changes that we're going to have for tonight. We have Joan, who has graciously stepped in to be the evaluator for our next speaker. So Joan, could you please give us a little bit of information on what you'll be looking for in the presentation that Hiren will be presenting? Go ahead, Joan.
Sure, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to evaluate. The objective of this speech is to poke fun at a particular individual in a good-natured way, adapt and personalize humorous material from other sources, and deliver jokes and humorous stories effectively. Time 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Joan. Okay, Madam Timer, did you get that? The speech is only going to be, it's going to be short, 3 to 5 minutes, so it'll be 3, 4, and 5. Okay, our next speaker, let's see, I thought I saw him, is going to be Hiren, and he's giving a roast. The presentation is going to be very short. He also has a very short title. The title is Roast in May. And the introduction, he says, he just wants to be called Toastmaster Hiren. So please help me welcome Toastmaster Hiren, talking about Roast in May. Go ahead, Hiren. Let's see, are you unmuted? Okay, go ahead.
You can hear me okay, and just also if you can give me rights to share my screen. I just want, and as I do that, you know, I'm sure that this is the last speech and I want to make it the best one. So, and it's a quick one. So if you can all put up your cameras only if you could, because you're going to enjoy this a bit. It is for short 3 minutes and would like to have as many people on the camera because you're going to see a visual delight here. Can I ask for a screen share permission, please? The Toastmaster of the evening or the admin, if you can just ask, you know, give me the rights to just share a slide that I want to take people through.
Not sure if CJ or Alicia who has control.
Only Willie has the control, right?
Willie?
Yeah, I think I have. No, I
okay.
have. All right, so I hope you are able to see my screen and let me just try and adjust to the right frame. Just give me a moment timer before I get going with this. All right. Okay. Yes. So the title is Roasting in May. And before I begin, and thank you for everyone who started the camera. So just let me start with a small disclaimer, which says that the views and the photographs that you're going to see now are solely for speech presentation and fun purposes. The views are solely of mine, which is Toastmaster Hiren, and they have nothing to do with the club or the president or the execo. So it is for a little fun. So I would expect all of you to take it with a little bit of fun. If you feel a little sad or bad after the presentation, I will owe you an apology. But here we begin. So when I begin, a quick introduction on what does roast mean. So it is not a topic that we use often, but essentially what we mean by a roast is that it is used in the speaking sense as to making, probably applying the heat, or someone, the person is being heated or being cooked or made fun of. So actually, in literal sense, roast is being considered as positive recognition to the contribution for their presence. That is what we mean by roast. Now, when this topic came in and I was researching who can I make fun of, who can I to cook tonight. So then I said, okay, why should I take an individual? Because we are in the Singapore Online English Toastmaster Club, a full family. So I said, let me pick up the following people as the roast. So what I said, why an individual? I should pick up a set of individuals that form the full Singapore Online Toastmasters family. So here it is, a couple of them I have enjoyed, and this comes after staying in this club for last 6-7 months, of what a visual delight it is sitting on the screen. So let's enjoy this roast moment. The first is the energetic lot. These people are extremely energetic. They have their hands and hands all over the screen. And I love the energy that these individuals bring in to the club. And the energy is so infectious that you really like that they are a part of it. And I see some thumbs up going, so I think all of you agree. The other lot is the well-dressed, well-framed lot. They are always very meticulous, very well-dressed, clean-shaven, well-dressed, perfect frame, as I would call it. It's always a visual delight to watch them in the frame. You will never have a crease on their shirt, which is what I guarantee. And that's why I call them the well-dressed, well-framed individuals of the club. The other is the perfect frame ones. These guys go out of the way to create a frame which is creatively best. I don't know where do they get these creatively ideas from, but depending on the topic, they change their frame in a visual jiffy. These are the creative lot that I call them, who bring that treat visual delight always in the club. So these are the creative best for whom the right frame matters for the right occasion. So while you have the perfect frame matters, they are the family frame. So these people come with a full family in, rather than an individual, they are there as a family. And it's such a delight that you're not alone, but you see it as a complete family. It brings that warmth, that brings that infection whenever I see these individuals. So that's the family frame for you, ladies and gentlemen. The other is the zoomed and the unzoomed lot. So some people get great in front of the camera. Some people get hazy and shaky in the camera, but they are the zoomed and the unzoomed in the frame. So, it's always either they are too animated or you hardly see an expression in them because their camera is hazy or they're too far. So that's what I called the zoomed and the unzoomed lot when I call on these individuals. Moving on, the animated frame. So these are people who bring in a lot of animation. They are Uncle Onions, Uncle Chicken, Uncle Chips, whatever, but they bring in that animation that brings in that visual delight when it comes to listening to them, or when you look at their evaluation, their comments. So this is what I called as the animated lot of the Singapore Online Toastmaster Club. And remember, it is always a good pleasure to have, because they have the wit and they bring in that little creature, that animation that brings in a virtual visual delight when you are listening to them or hearing them. The next is the very beautiful lot, which is what I call as the smiling delight. It is such a visual treat to watch them. They are the fair, lovely, beautiful, and handsome people that you can get when you are watching that Zoom screen. Very beautiful faces, very delightful, cheerful people who bring that infectious eyes, and you feel that you frame them and keep looking at them because it is so visually appealing from this side of the screen to watch them when they smile, when they comment, when they engage with you. Yeah. And last but not the least, our beloved president. So the anxious frame before the start of the meeting and the happiness frame at 1 a.m. after the meeting. It is always delight to have him support us, be the encouraging anchor that he is. And I owe it to him because he is the one who supports us. So this is his anxiousness to his post-meeting 1 a.m. happiness that he is bringing. But overall, it's always a visual delight to be part of this family. And if by any means everyone has felt not so good, then I owe a sincere apology to him. This was just about roasting in May. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you very much, Hiren. Great selection of pictures from our various meetings. That was very good. Thank you. Okay, let's see. That concludes the speaking part of the program. Madam Timer, do we have a report as far as who we can vote for, and can we put the poll up to vote for the person who did the best job speaking tonight?
Wait. Give me a minute. Let me write it out.
Okay.
Give me a minute. So I start. Okay. Okay. Okay, aside from Pallavi and Alicia, most are actually on time. So okay, let me just set it out. Hiren is 4 minutes 23. Vikana is 8 minutes 04. Alicia is 13 minutes 58. Mina is 7 minutes 08. Panos is 6 minutes 48. Navin 6 minutes 33. Pallavi 7 minutes 35. Tatiana is 5 minutes 46. Emmanuel 6 minutes 34. Abdul 7 minutes 13. That's
Okay.
about it.
Can we put the poll up, please? Okay, the voting is up. Please vote. Okay, we almost have half people voted so far, 48%. Okay, we're at 57%.
Oh.
64%, we're almost there. We'll go just a little bit. We have, right now oh, it's close. Need a few more votes because we almost have a tie. In fact, we do have a tie. Can anybody else please? Okay, there we go. All right. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. We do have a winner, and the winner is our last speaker, Hiren. Congratulations, Hiren. You got us all laughing. Great way to complete the end of our speaking program. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and move on to finish out the evening. It's our evaluation part of the meeting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the order that people should have been speaking. So that's the way I'm going to have the evaluators go. So I'm going to give you a quick idea of who's going to be on deck. Okay, first speaker was Abdul, and his evaluator is Vikas. Second speaker, Emmanuel, and the second evaluator is Angela. So if those two people will be ready, I'm going to go ahead and call on Vikas to please evaluate Abdul, and the evaluations are the normal 2 to 3 minutes. So please unmute yourself and go ahead, Vikas. If you can't, I'll go ahead and unmute you. Okay, there you go.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and especially Abdul. Abdul, thank you so much. It is an honor to evaluate your speech today. You had a very inspirational and informative speech today, very relevant to the theme of today, which was resilience. You told amazing stories, personal stories, and of your life, 3 stages of your life, and you included the resilience, why it is important to keep trying. You showed us how that benefited you in your life. Thank you so much for that. You put yourself in a vulnerable position by doing that, and I personally enjoyed those stories. I found your storytelling very easy to listen to. It was a very conversational style, and that really helped me understand each of the stories and why it was important to keep trying. The purpose of this project was to plan and research a topic. And in that area, personal experience is probably one of the best areas of research. I think where this speech could have been improved would have been with a quick Google search. You know, what are the statistics related to resilience? And use some of that, the statistics that talk about resilience, why it's important to have resilience and keep trying, and include some of that information in your storytelling. A couple of minor suggestions for improvement. We are in a Zoom environment, and if you look around, most people will do a Zoom meeting or a talk while they are seated. Consider standing up for your speech. And you had some great use of gestures. For example, when you were talking about sitting in the back of the classroom, you were pointing to the back of the classroom. When you were talking about blame, you pointed to the teachers, and you pointed back at yourself. If you were standing, it gives you more room to have more gestures. And if you are doing that, don't use a screen like I did. You had a very comfortable screen, so that worked very well. Overall, I was very impressed with your speech, your personal storytelling. I found it engaging, informative, and inspiring. Thank you for persuading us to keep trying. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Vikas. Very good evaluation. Right, our next speaker was Emmanuel, and his evaluator is Angela. So Angela, are you ready to go evaluate our next speaker? I'll go ahead and unmute you. Okay, you're unmuted.
Yes, the only thing is I want to see the timer.
Okay, she's got a whole bunch of stickies on her wall. So if you see yellow and purple and pink, yeah.
I see, okay. Yes, I can see that. Very good. Right. First of all, I have to say how much I enjoyed Emmanuel's speech and how I feel that he fulfilled the objectives of the exercise, which was to use 2 different sorts of research. He used quotations and he used statistics. He engaged our attention right at the beginning with his excellent quotation, tell me what you eat and I will tell you what you are. And he ended with another quotation which had wonderful assonance. If each one could teach one. It was a double rhyme. So I enjoyed that very much. Then the statistics he used, he talked about the number of children who died, and he said 45% of deaths are children under 5. At this point, I come on to one of my suggestions of things he could do to enhance his speech and make it even better. If I hadn't written down that statistic, I think I might have forgotten it. And it would have been very nice to have shown a slide, possibly a picture of children. You could get creative and show one picture with the children and then another picture with some of the children missing to show how many disappeared. Then the other thing that could be improved, he started with Nigeria, and I think possibly some people here have not been to Nigeria, and it might be helpful to have a map showing the country, or even showing which countries there are where children die or people are underweight, and other countries where people are overweight, and that would make a good contrast. And I always think that visuals help us remember the message. I think things he could challenge to work on would be the language. I don't want to tread on our language evaluators' territory, but I noticed several words I think could have changed. One was much instead of much, one was doesn't instead of doesn't, and one was healthy instead of healthy. So possibly record your speech and then improve on the language. Altogether, it was a very good speech. It engaged me, and I'm sure it engaged all the audience. Several people voted for you. It was a lovely speech, and it deserves to have some little additions to make it absolutely perfect. Well done.
Okay, thank you very much, Angela. Okay, our third speaker was Tatiana, and it was one of her first presentations as a digital speaker, and her evaluator is going to be Panos. So Panos, please go ahead and evaluate Tatiana.
Tatiana, you just popped up on my screen. However, this is not the first time I hear you speak. I was there the first time you gave your speech. So tonight, I will be basing my impressions that I share with all of us in the room on your speech on 3 main axes. One is the educational value that you brought to us with your speech. Number 2 is the tons of improvements that I observed you had made and enhancements in your speaking and your content. And number 3, it will be how you personally related to your speech and to us in the audience. So when it comes to the educational value, from the very beginning, you made it clear that having developed an elevator pitch, or is it a speech perhaps, having developed one for ourselves is very important. And you laid out a few cases, for example, when you sit just quiet in the room, not knowing what to say, it was clear to me that you had been in those situations, and so have I, and perhaps more of us in the room would relate to that. Then you also mentioned the procrastination, like waiting to do that when we have a career, when we are a bigger version of ourselves. However, we made it clear that it's important to do it now, and you asked us to please listen that was a point that you stepped up the challenge level for yourself, because I thought, okay, how about you get us to listen? How about you share something personal? What's your story with your beats? So while your speech was educational, high educational value, sharing us 4 steps to craft our pitch, put down the facts, create a story, practice until it gets natural, and adjust the story based on the feedback we get, I was waiting for your story. I was waiting for your pitch. I thought it was gonna come at this very moment. I was ready for it. I'm still ready for it, and I wanna hear your speech. So the improvements that I noticed in you, eye contact, online presence, all scoring much higher than your last speech. Your online presence now in the frame, you got some gestures in the frame. All those are new elements that you are now bringing to your digital speaking. Congratulations. You used a comfortable pace and pitch and pauses. Now I want to bring to your attention that it is the variation of those elements that makes their use more effective. So not just having a comfortable pitch and pace, but also varying among them. So all in all, Tatiana, I think you're in your element when you're giving educational speeches. Relate to your speech by challenging yourself and giving us your personal pitch, and then judging by the rate of meaningful enhancements that I saw you make in this speech in particular, I have no doubt that you're gonna be an excellent digital speaker. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Panos. Very good advice. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker was Naveen, and he is unable to stay for the whole meeting, so he's going to have to watch the video to get his evaluation personally. We're going to give him an evaluation anyway. So, Carol, whether he wants it or not. Okay, Carol, I'm going to unmute you, and please go ahead and give an evaluation for Naveen's presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Toastmaster, this is for Everine. Resilience is weight loss journey. I felt he used great imagery at the beginning when he spoke about the desert, trying to put that last drop out. And he brought that back, how it related to his weight loss journey. I definitely focused back on the message. Overall, good story structure. It was well done and took us on your journey. Congratulations, by the way, on that. A couple of things you may want to work on. Incorporate more vocal variety. Explain what I mean. When you're telling that opening story, create a pause. Create more drama. I felt if you used a quieter voice when describing the desert, and then got your voice really excited to enhance and engage the audience with a little laughter at the end, I think it would have been a little bit better. Secondly, I challenge yourself to use your gestures. When you talked about the 3 types, you can point them out. And when you talked about your fourth type of gesture, you could have paused. And 4, there's a 4th type, for sleep. More sleeping gestures. Overall, I thought you did very well. And I'm not quite too sure where you're on your Toastmaster journey, but you can incorporate a few different things, you'll do fine. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Carol, for standing in for one of our evaluators. Okay, our next speaker per the list was supposed to be Panos, so I'm going to go ahead and have his evaluator, CJ, give his evaluation. So CJ, would you please evaluate Panos? Where'd you go, CJ? There you are. Oh, gotta unmute. Okay, let me, can't unmute. Somebody else, who else has control of unmuting? Oh, can't unmute him. He's can't unmute. Oh, Alicia, do you have control, or Willie? We can't unmute CJ. Oh, there he is. He's unmuted now.
Okay.
Good.
splendid Saturday Club President, fellow Toastmaster, and distinguished guests, especially to the powerful Panos. He meets the objective of his speech by sharing with us how he transformed from a direct to a supportive communicator. I love his speech and how he connects to the audience with his sweet smile. He was calm, confident, and composed. His eyes contact is excellent, and I can see that he's always looking at the camera, engaging the audiences. I love the way he engaged the audiences by asking questions. He even said, "Imagine how I feel at the moment." He also shared his personal story, which is relatable to all of us, and how it can impact us in our life. He uses a lot of wonderful props, like the rope, the shoes, and the axe. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, a picture paints 1,000 words. It can express something more clearly or succinctly than words can. His speech is enchanting, enriching, enlightening for me. He also uses a volume of vivid vocabulary. He explains step by step and how he climbed the hill. At that moment, everything changes. He talked about his past, his present, and his future. To improve to a next level, he can use a quotation in his speech. He can talk about alone, we can do so little, but together we can do so much. To challenge yourself, Panos, you can reenact the different scenarios between the two people. Add in dialogue to bring out the interaction between the two characters. For example, I want to see how you can breathe life into character. All in all, Panos is an eloquent speaker. He is as cool as a cucumber. He excels in his body language and his vocal variety. Just to take note of using a quote and the challenge to add dialogue in your speech to reenact the different scenarios. Panos, I love your speech. You speak with passion. You speak with engagement. You speak with confidence. A quote from Maya Angelou. People will forget what you say. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you make them feel. Thank you, Panos, for making me feel resilient today. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, CJ. Thank you for your evaluation and remembering to use the word. All right, our next speaker was Pallavi, and her evaluator is Patrick. So Patrick, can you unmute yourself and go ahead and give Pallavi her evaluation? Okay, there we go. You're unmuted, Patrick.
Okay. Feel like I'm in a muted cell or something. What a really heartwarming and touching speech that I have ever heard in a very long time. The month of May is a very special month around the world for many of us. What will we celebrate on May 10th? Anyone? What will we celebrate? We will celebrate Mother's Day. So I really feel that Pallavi's speech is really a testimony, certainly, to her mother and to the compassionate upbringing that she had from her mother. One of the things that I really think was a very strong point of her speech was the acronym, the very catching acronym that she had for her mother, DTM, devoted teacher and mother. That's really, it's an act of genius. It hooked our imagination right from the beginning. It's fantastic. And how well did this speech suit the occasion? Well, I mean, it certainly matched, or I should say, fulfilled the requirements of her speech. Basically, she is giving accolades to her mother based upon her upbringing. So the requirements for the speech were certainly met. Did it fit the occasion? Certainly. She also mentioned 5 points in her speech, which was one of the requirements about for speaking in praise. 5 points about the person. What improvements? I would like to see probably 1 or 2 creative improvements. Maybe an anecdote about disagreement or punishment. Of course, mothers love us. And to say that we have never been punished by our mothers, we would be fooling ourselves and others, especially our mothers. I would have liked to hear an anecdote about maybe a time how she might have been in disagreement with her mother and how her mother might have punished her. That would have certainly been the icing on the cake. Fantastic speech, really touching. Really, it brings back memories of my mother. Thank you very much, Pallavi, and I will send you your evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Very good evaluation. And keeping in theme with motherhood, in a way, our next speaker was Mina, and her evaluator is Emmanuel. Emmanuel, are you ready to go ahead and evaluate Mina's presentation? Okay, you're trying to unmute you. Where'd you go?
All right. Okay. So hello here.
Yes.
Hi everyone. Nina's presentation was amazing. I mean, I literally imagined that I'm going to have a baby after Nina's presentation. She has so much catchy phrases, and she had different scenarios. And those scenarios were so real and descriptive that I felt like there was a baby in my sitting room at the point where she was trying to describe the situation. The powerful use of descriptive words is one of Nina's strong points. I mean, what is a good speaker without being able to use words to bring life into the room of your listeners? Nina, you have done well. That's amazing. And another thing I love so much was the use of vocal variety. I know that Nina is an advanced speaker, but I can tell you that not all advanced speakers can use vocal variety. She was able to embody the voice of a baby. That was wonderful. I'm going to try that out after this session to see how you can do that. And she closed on a very strong note. She said, don't push your baby. Don't force them to do anything. Just make them understand. Can you imagine? She's trying to get a win-win or a buy-in from a baby. Wonderful. That was really amazing. For that kind of amazing speech or monologue that Nina had given, you would have asked me, how would she have improved? I would have said one of the things that I think she would have improved was that she would have used, she would have made the monodrama appear more comfortable. Some part of the monodrama was not so comfortable with some of us at some point, you know. And because she was using a baby, she did not use a lot of distractive mannerisms, because I expected quite a lot of distractive mannerisms. So going forward, I think you should try to find a way to distract the audience with some of the baby mannerisms. I know that it is a lot of work for you to do in 5 to 7 minutes, and I know that we all get better going forward. But one thing I love about your speech is that you have brought life and you have brought real life situation into the rooms of everyone that was present at the time you were giving the speech. I want to congratulate you for that wonderful speech, and I want to say that I see you going places, going higher, and getting better. We are with you on this journey. I will not let you down. Over to you, the Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for your evaluation. See, our next speaker was Alicia, and her evaluation is Lee. So Lee, are you ready to evaluate Alicia's presentation? Okay, go ahead, Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the evening. According to Jimmy Neil Smith, the director of the International Storytelling Center, we're all storytellers, and we all live in a network of stories. There isn't a stronger connection between people than storytelling. Alicia took us on a journey of Singapore from the time when the country was filled with swamps to when active trading centers were established and finally the successful urban country we see today. It was a very insightful presentation of the history of Singapore in objects. Alicia used presentation slides with significant objects of the different eras in supporting her story. Great use of images and white space on her slides. I did notice, however, there was some overlapping of years in the first 3 eras she mentioned. 10th century to 1800s, 1845 to 1945, 1942 to 1960. I would like to suggest to Alicia to double check the dates as we don't want to have overlapping dates. I'm sure there are lots of people in the audience who are pedantic about dates or details, and this may come across as a distraction to the audience. Rather than listening to you, they will be focusing on, oh, is that an error? Was it done on purpose? Okay, so we do not want to distract the audience from listening to your story. It would also add credibility to her story if she had referenced her sources as well. Alicia was very knowledgeable of the history. I felt she was trying to present too much information for a 7 to 9 minute speech. The presentation came across as more of an informative speech rather than storytelling because she was trying to tell us all of this in the 7 to 9 minutes. In addition to vocal variety, gestures, effective use of visual aids, a good story should take the audience on a roller coaster ride. So there are the highs, the lows, we develop the characters, and then the story will end with a climax. I love her story of how the Singapore stone came about, how Badang ate the genie's vomit, and then how the duel took place. She also described durian, the texture, the taste, and how it was banned in the MRT. To have better impact in storytelling, this would have been an opportunity to engage with the audience. Ask them a question. Raise your hand if you've had durian. Keep them raised if you love durian. You know, who wouldn't love eating custard in a public toilet, for example? I was looking forward to the climax of her story. Unfortunately, she ran out of time. Thank you, Alicia, for bringing the history of Singapore to life with objects. She was very informative in taking us on a journey. I challenge her next time to take us on a roller coaster ride. Lastly, I will leave all of you with a message. To quote Margaret Atwood, author of Handmaid's Tale, you're never going to kill storytelling because it's built in the human plan. We come with it. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Lee. All right, our next, well, actually, I'm going to change the order. The next speaker who I want to be evaluated is going to be Hiren, and his evaluator is someone who is very willing to step up and help us tonight. Please help me welcome Joan, who will be evaluating Hiren. Thank you, Joan. Okay, go ahead, Joan.
So thank you so much for having me today, and thank you for this opportunity to evaluate Hiren. Hiren, you were awesome. You kept me laughing and everyone right from the start. You are just awesome. I mean, I don't know what words I can describe when you say and pick out any fault from your speech. But anyways, to start off with, let's kind of divide your speech into two, content and delivery. Your opening was awesome. I mean, you started off with defining your roasting, and you really stayed up to it. What a positive roasting. So, it was in a very positive way, and excellent, the way you kind of prepared it. The second I would go is your body. You started off your humor within half a minute, and you kept increasing it, and you divided all of us in like 7 or 8 categories, I guess, and it was awesome. You didn't spare anyone. You kept all of us together, in all, people who were present almost each and every meeting were all there. So that was a really good observation. Your visual aids were awesome. I mean, you had all of us categorized and gave us perfect titles, with family oriented, perfect frames, zoomed and unzoomed. So that was great. And conclusion, I mean, you also kind of concluded it in a very positive way. So you kept up with the definition of what was roasting in a very positive manner. You were roasting us. So in order to take us to the next level, I would, what I would suggest is just a couple of things. One is, I would categorize, since your speech was like 3 to 5 minutes, I would categorize you in, all of us in probably like 3 to 4 categories. This is what I would do. And I would actually add a few stories. For example, the last one, which you said, anxious president, which was awesome. But then I would kind of put a couple of more jokes out there describing what instances, rather than having a visual aid, making him like really anxious and then happy at the end, I would have kind of put a little more added out there and put a story out there saying why you really, made it, and make it like a humorous joke at the end. So that was, so just adding few stories here and there would have helped, rather than having just pictures. And secondly, body language. Your delivery was awesome. The vocal variety was great, but pauses would have helped a little bit, would have made us more laugh. So, the speed that you went was great, but, just a pauses would have helped in the beginning and in the latter part of, where are you kind of giving that humor. I feel personally that this speech should have been 5 to 7 minutes. So we could have laughed for the entire time, and you would have had the more opportunity to add more drama, more facial expression and pauses, and more stories. Stories sell, right? So we all know that. Thank you so much, and back to you, Toastmasters of the day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Joan. I had to try to get over there to my mute button. Thank you very much. All right, one more. Our last speaker tonight was, well, he wasn't the last speaker, but he is on my list tonight. Vikarna was the last speaker on my list, and his evaluator is going to be Dr. Mukhlis. So, Doctor, are you ready to evaluate our next speaker? If we can unmute you. There.
Great. I think Vikas gave a speech last week, and then he came back with lots of energy. First thing he did is try to get a connection to the audience. And how did he do it? He called on Panos. Panos, can you unmute and video yourself so I can see the reaction? Those are very powerful tools because you did both there. You did for the audience, connecting with the audience, and then making sure you are paying attention to the audience, you're delivering it to the audience, and have one of the best examples in the house to come and observe you and give you reactions. That is a very powerful tool. I think you did excellent there. I believe this speech was prepared well. The content was great. Delivery was excellent. What's more important, what you did, I think is very powerful speakers do, is connect to the previous speakers. You connected with Abdul, Lakshmi, Panos, even like a previous week speaker. So he used very powerful tool of connecting to the audience and connecting to the presence, being mindful. And sad stories always makes us sad. So you played with the emotion, which was again, purpose of your speech. I would say overall it's excellent. So it's difficult to find improvement opportunity, but that's our job, to give you some feedback so you can come back with the improvements. Resilience was the word of the day. And these difficult times and change and stories, I would have liked to see you use the word of the day as a part of Toastmasters process. In fact, some clubs make it mandatory in table topics and speeches. Your voice was very good and clear, but there could be improvement in flexation, flexing to high, low. When you're sad, you can become quiet, very slow, deliberately. And when you're excited, you become more audible or louder. The other thing that I saw which could improve, and I think some of you are improving a lot already. I see a lot of the faces. You look into the camera. Don't look into the screen. Screen is not the camera. It is not the what gives you eye contact with everybody. When I'm looking into the camera, all of you will see me looking to you, each individual. So you're looking up a little bit, maybe a few times. So instead of looking up, look to the camera. If you come close, that means you're making a deeper eye contact. So I would not count that out. Overall, I think the speech was excellent. You had very good stories. You met all of the objectives of your speech. And we are looking forward to more of your speeches. Your last week's speech and this week's speech is building a story. So keep on going. Thank you. Looking forward to more speeches. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for evaluation. Great. We have one more evaluator, our language evaluator. Terence, are you ready to let us know how well we did this evening? Get you, see if I can unmute you. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I wrote about 15 pages. I won't go through 15 pages. I'll keep this short, sharp, and sweet, but give me time to scroll up and down. So let's start with the word of the day. Now, what we should be emphasizing, and Dr. Muklis correctly said, now the reason why we have the word of the day is to train people to be flexible in their thinking. Everything that we do in Toastmasters, all your skills, in terms of your prepared speeches, in terms of your evaluation, in terms of your table topic, are skills that you apply in the real world. You notice that people come to Toastmasters and you ask them, why do you want to be a Toastmaster? And they say, I want to be a better speaker. And we all know that's nonsense. It's like saying, I want to learn to drive to be a better driver. No, we all have an agenda. We all have something that we want to achieve. So the idea of using the word of the day is that, so in the real world, you meet your clients, you meet your boss, and you realize that certain people have keywords, words that they avail themselves to. You speak their language, you get your ideas across better. So I'd like to congratulate the following people for using the word of the day. Our Toastmaster of the day, Dennis, really resilient tonight. And then we have Pallavi, who spoke about the resilient woman. And then hold on. Vikas, our champion, you included the resilience, related to resilience. Let's talk about resilience and why it is important to have resilience. If there was a prize, he gets it. And then we talk about, let's see, going down. Carol also used the word resilient. Congratulations. And then CJ, making me feel resilient today. And resilience is the word of the day. So now let's talk about things that we can do to improve our language. Now, when I speak about this, I don't mention names. You have to understand that for most of us, English is not our mother tongue. And so the very act of people trying to step up and master a language that is not the language that they grew up with is something to be celebrated and elevated. So somebody pronounced anomaly wrong. So it's anomaly, right? And then there's intuition and not intuition. Somebody said, we can listen you. What you really meant to say is, we can hear you. And then she's literally the goddess of prosperity. Now this is metaphorically speaking, because if you're literally a god, it's different from you being metaphorically a god. Despite of her, the of is a redundancy, despite her. Another thing to note is that for some of the speakers, when you are speaking, there is no need to apologize about the time. When you come in, you give your speech, you state your position for or against in a coherent and cogent argument, and end it. Do not be apologetic. You find that if you're apologetic in your speeches, if you're apologetic in real life, imagine you're giving a business presentation, thank you for listening to me, and I apologize if I took your time. It totally destroys your presentation. So this is a habit to be broken. Another thing is, somebody said third world country. Now it should be pointed out that countries like Nigeria and everything are third world, not because they are third world, but because the term third world is often misused. First world, these are terms from the Cold War. A first world country are countries aligned with the US and NATO. Second world were countries that were aligned with the Soviet Union and Warsaw Pact in those days. And third world are all the countries that are neutral, that did not align with either side. What he meant to say is developing country. So there's a difference in the terminology. Because a lot of developed and developing countries are third world, and a lot of developed and developing countries are first or second world. One of the speakers used the word awesome an awful lot of times. Now, one of the things that we should practice in our speeches is try to vary the words you use. If the speaker is good, you can say that he's awesome the first time, but you cannot say that every point was awesome. Also, never say that a speech is perfect. No matter how good a speech is, there is no such thing as a perfect speech. We can always be better. Somebody said the art of listening was an important subject by itself. What you meant to say is the art of listening was as important a subject. Somebody used the word undernutrition. What you really meant was malnutrition. Somebody said a piece of rice. It would be better to say a grain of rice, because it was the attempted use of hyperbole. Another thing that we have practiced in our speeches is that the whole idea of our prepared speeches, especially the 5 to 7 minutes, is because in that 5 to 7 minutes, that is the normal attention span of people they are speaking to. And we have to practice speaking formally, because the words we use create the impression that people have of us. So unless there is a need to, unless you're role-playing a character, avoid colloquial terms. So it's not kids, it's children. Kids are baby goats. What is she having in her hand? What does she have in her hand? It's not a lullaby, but lullaby. It had become, it is better to say it has become. One of the ways to tell the history of somewhere is by objects. One of the best ways to tell the history of something is through objects, not by objects. Another thing is that the Singapore stone is not a piece of folklore, it is a historical fact. Folklore means that it doesn't exist, it's a story, but it does exist and we have it in the museum. Rising anti-sentiment against opium. Actually, what you mean is rising sentiment. Because if it's anti-sentiment, it is the opposite of what you're trying to say. It is era, not error. It is error, not era. And somebody said, oh shit and alamak, which is very interesting. Now here's something that I have to point out about that speech, okay? Sometimes when we give our presentations, it is true that we overshoot the time. For those of us who are experienced, they have been speakers who overshoot the time massively. What we do is that we try and hint to them, but we have to remember that we have a lot of new people speaking, we have a lot of guests. You cannot tell them to stop immediately. In the same way that when you're in a business presentation, sometimes you have your CEO or whatever going on and on, you can't stand up and say, shut up. So these are things that we have to practice, the etiquette of Toastmasters, because whatever etiquette we have here carries on to the real world. On the other hand, something to take note when we are giving speeches and using presentations, the trick is this: 30 seconds per presentation, 30 seconds per slide. If you have a certain amount of time, 30 seconds per slide should be enough. This is something we practice so we do not overshoot. But these are things that we learn along the way, okay? Stop self-doubting yourself. This is a redundancy. If you self-doubt, you're already doubting yourself. So one of the things we try to do is eliminate redundancy. You find that you have a specific amount of time to say what you have to say, correct? So do not waste your words. Every word matters. It is audience and not audiences. If you have 10 people, it is an audience. You have 20 people, it is still an audience. If you have 2,000 people, it is still an audience. The only time you would use audiences is if you're describing a situation where there are different groups of people, but that is a very specific context of language. Now, we shall go into the good things that are said. Because otherwise, if we go through like this, I'll sound like a grammar Nazi. It is very, very demoralizing. For example, okay, in this one, I shall mention names. I shall name you, but not shame you. So Pallavi said, Mami Lakshmi. Now this is what you call an assonance, where the word rhymes at the beginning, and it's also an epiphora. So in language, what you're trying to do is that you find that in Toastmasters, most people imagine that for you to be an effective speaker, you have to speak a lot. It is the opposite. To be an effective speaker, you actually have to speak less. So if you're a good speaker, you're good in rhetoric, you'll find that as you speak, you will say less things and there will be longer pauses because you need the audience to catch up with you. For example, there was a good roast, but one of the things about roasting, about humor in your speech, is that you need to slow down and pause so that the audience can catch up your train of thought and know that you told them a joke. The fear is that the audience didn't get the joke. Don't worry, look at them like it's their fault. So friends may, so somebody use a, Pallavi use a quote. Friends may come, go or come, friends may be right or wrong, books are always a man's best friend. She quoted her mother. Now, the thing about quotations, I see that a lot of people use quotations. Quotations are an excellent example of what you call boring credibility. Especially if you're giving a speech on a subject where you may or may not be viewed as an authority and people think you don't know what you're talking about. What you do is you take a quote, a good quote, and build your speech around it. You're boring the credibility of that person. So let's say Angela has to give a speech on astrophysics and the theory of relativity, and she starts to quote Albert Einstein. Nobody would dare say that she's wrong. But a quote is a double-edged sword. You may quote the wrong person. As I mentioned many times, do not do a Donald Trump. What he did was he quoted someone, and then when people checked, he was a Nazi Holocaust guard. That totally destroys everybody's credibility to quote the wrong person. So be careful who you quote. Do not make those kind of mistakes. If you are the president of the United States, you can get away with it, but none of us are. The position is occupied. She's teaching with the book of life. Pallavi said, this is a poignant metaphor. Because why? You're talking about your mother teaching with the book of life. Now, the thing is that when speech, sometimes you need to put these kind of words in. We cannot measure motherhood. This is a hyperbole. Something that cannot be measured. So great it is that it is something that cannot be quantified. So these are things that you can use in your speech. Phil McRae said, don't fight the question, don't fight the voice in your head. You notice that this is a repetition of terms. It starts with don't fight, which is an ephora. It is a reiteration of a very strong point, and that's how he built his story. And that was a very good story. Vlad, Teodorescu, parable. he gave us the parable, a neighbor has twice what you have. Now, these are one of the rhetorical devices, one of those tricks you can have in a speech. Now, here's something that we can all consider. Many of us speak more than one language. And what will happen is that sometimes, especially while speaking the Toastmasters English circuit, people have heard all the parables there are. Do not be ashamed, do not be afraid to borrow parables from another culture, from your own language, your own culture. Let people have a taste of who you are and what shapes you. Abdul Karimi, he gave a speech and he talked about keep on trying, keep on trying, keep on trying. This is a reiteration. This is also called what they call a climax, where you say something and you reiterate the point so that people understand what you're saying and understand how important it is. Nervous, shy, did not speak the language. This is a triad. So if you say something and you have something good to say, try and say it 3 times. If you say it more than 3 times, you're nagging. People don't like to be nagged. Dika said amazing stories, personal stories. This is an expansion. That these stories are amazing because they are personal, which is a very good turn of phrase. He also used the alliterative triad, engaging, informative, inspiring. Farooq Mia said, no impact in your life, in your knowledge, and in your wisdom. This is again a triad. You notice that a lot of these good, accomplished speakers tend to use triads in their speeches. Emmanuel, tell me what you hate, and I will tell you who you are. He quoted Jean Savarin, who was a noted gastronome and epicure. And this is how you build your credibility. You build your speech knowledge. Each one to teach one. An assonance, which is a rhyming word in the middle. Real and descriptive. Use words to bring life. These are good descriptive phrases. Embody the voice of a baby. Tatiana, strip the story to the core, which is an idiomatic rhetorical device. Let me translate that. An idiom is a phrase where every word has a different meaning. It's understood within a specific cultural context as opposed to what it really means to the audience. For example, let the cat out of the bag. It doesn't mean that we literally put cats in bags. But everyone understands within that culture what it means. But there is a double-edged sword. You find that we are so used to speaking within a certain culture in a certain context. You find that when you try and use the same phrase in an audience that's not familiar with the idiom, they have no idea what you're talking about. Navin, last drop of Coke, which is a good simile to emphasize the point of how wonderful it is just for that. And then in this context of humor, his humor the theme is called self-deprecation because there are 3 different kinds of humor. There's misdirection, self-deprecation, and then there is hyperbole. Self-deprecation is the easiest and safest type of humor for people who are starting on the engaging humor path. For those who are more accomplished in language, there is the misdirection in language, the George Carlin style, but minus the vulgarities. So you said a deserter. So you think that someone's going to desert something, but what he really means is someone who likes dessert, which is a good turn of phrase. He also used the word gold mine. Panos, the top is not your last stop. An epistrophe. Sweat everywhere, slopes everywhere, snow everywhere. He likes to use the epistrophe. That is his style of speech. And it's a very powerful method of emphasizing what he's trying to say. His mind quit before his body. This is known as an antithesis, where the second part of the speech is the opposite of the first, the mind and body. This is used to emphasize contrast. Past, present, and future collided, a tribe. Do not cut the rope, stay tied to those you value. Again, this is an antithetical metaphor. Meenakshi said, escape the cereal. It's a metaphor. Alicia, depicting and preserving, an epiphora. Vikana, it will not be the first time, it will not be the last time. It almost seems that he was quoting David Copperfield. He was the best of times, the worst of times. Good starting, the rest of the book was pretty boring. And then he gave an allusion to other people's speeches. Now, allusion is a rhetorical device. There are 6 kinds of illusions, but the easiest one that we can use is to refer to other people's speeches, what other people say in a meeting. People like to be elevated. People want to be important. When you speak to them, when you mention their name, where you repeat what they have said, you have elevated them. And because of that, they are more inclined towards you. In a Toastmaster setting, it gets you votes, especially if you're in competition. But in the real world, it means that your customer likes you, your audience likes you, the girl you're trying to get to know at the bar likes you better. So illusions are very powerful rhetoric. It's a very powerful device if used correctly. Lim Chanjing, or CJ, right? I would say his full name. Huh? From a direct to a supportive communicator. Again, this is the use of contrast in language. A picture paints 1,000 words, an idiom. A volume of vivid vocabulary, alliteration. Breathe life into the character, a metaphor. Cool as a cucumber, simile. I felt as if he was going through all the lists of rhetorical devices. He had it there one by one, tick, 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 right? And then he quoted Maya Angelou. Right? People will not forget how you made them feel, which is a very famous quote, but a very powerful quote. And this is something that we apply in our speeches. Our speeches is not just words. Whenever you speak, remember that you are on a hero's journey. You are the speaker persona, and you're bringing that audience with you on their journey, walking in your shoes, going wherever you go. Do not leave that audience behind. Make them feel what you feel. Make them see what you see. Make them taste what you taste. And if you can do that, you have moved the audience. That is how a speech is done. Patrick, an act of genius. And then he talks about anecdotes. Lee Buckley, we are all storytellers. He quoted Jimmy Neal Smith. And that is the essence of our life. Our life is the telling of stories and the retelling of stories. It is the basis of our civilization. A good story takes the audience on a roller coaster ride, and that is correct. Not just a roller coaster ride, but an entire journey, a journey through your life. She also quoted Margaret Atwood's, "You are never going to kill storytelling." So you notice that she emphasizes strongly on storytelling, and that is actually the basis of every speech you give. Whether it's a speak to inform, whether it is about your life, or whether it is a research and presenting. And then Mukhlis talked about flexing your voice, and he has flexed so much that he had to leave early, and we will miss him. And with that, over to you, Toastmaster today.
Thank you very much, Terence. Okay, I think we've just about finished voting, so I'm going to go ahead and share the results so we can move on. So there is our winner. Lee is the winner, best evaluator for tonight. Congratulations, Lee. All right. Thank you, everybody. This pretty much concludes my part of the program. Thank you, everybody, for helping out. I really appreciate everybody who actually helps also step up and fill in some of the gaps that we had. So tonight we were very resilient. And with that, I will return control of the meeting to our club president, Willie Lowe. Willie?
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Dennis. I would like to thank one person of the meeting who have been listening actively to all the speakers. That is Terence Nunis. She spent 4 hours to listen to all the speeches. He has been a very good listener. Then I would appreciate that every one of you take up, learn to be a language evaluator and to listen attentively to her speech, to his speech, to be a language evaluator for a long meeting. That was a very long meeting we have ever had. And a wonderful evaluator from all over the world that come online to Singapore Online to give us their feedback. They are the best. They are the second best because they only have 7 minutes, whereas Terence Nunis has close to 30 minutes of language evaluation tonight. everyone, we should learn for Terence for being active listening to every of our speakers throughout the session. This, some of you will ask me, is it a planned thing that I have? No, the theme of the meeting was already planned a few months ago, and I also never think of who to invite for the meeting. I just try to get Terence to come online because she's a late hours too. That's why he's the best person for Singapore Online. Let us, the Singapore Online ESCO, can we get Terence to be part of the member? Okay, let us, before I end the meeting, I would like to give a few guests to give us their feedback and how they have active listening to our meeting throughout the whole session. The first guest will be Mercy. Since you have spoken earlier, now I'm back to you again.
Oh, okay, sure. It was delightful for sure coming on this online Zoom, and it has brought me back to a lot of memory lanes because for maybe 8 years I've been associating with a lot of international people from different countries because of my school days when I was studying in United States. And I guess I was craving for international environment during the lockdown. So then I was curious to find out, hey, maybe Toastmaster has an international club or something. And so I just did a brief research and found you guys, and then it was very nice. So my first experience this evening was a lot of out of a lot of curiosity, and I did learn a lot of things, especially the evaluation part, and that was very uplifting for me. And I also am very encouraged to see so many people coming together to learn English. That's very good because it's very important, and especially being vulnerable, I think. Vulnerable to give it a try and not necessarily want to be perfect, because like what Terence says, it's hard to be perfect, and so seeing everyone here striving together is very fantastic. So keep up the good work, everyone. I hope to join you again next time when I can.
Thank you, Mercy, for your feedback. We hope it could be better. Can I have another guest, Anna, who have been listening actively throughout the meeting, although we try to engage her earlier?
Thank you very much for such a wonderful meeting. I was second time here and it was very surprising. Just a little bit too long, but very valuable, I have to say, especially the encouraging evaluation and all the stories, because it's truly international. So thank you for hosting it.
Okay.
And you are also invited to Bratislava, Monday, 7 o'clock, Central European Time. We have Toastmaster Bratislava. If you can travel, we will have a welcome drink for you. I have one.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Toastmaster Vika, you have been attending our session for the last 3 or 4 sessions. Give us your feedback.
Thank you, Willie. Fellow Toastmasters, this was an amazing date today. What a way to spend a few hours. I really enjoyed this. The level of speeches, the table topics, the organization, everything was a notch above. Congratulations to you and to your club on achieving President's Distinguished. What an achievement in such a short time. Willie this morning was saying that the club was just launched in November of 2019. So well done, everyone. Continue to do the great things that you do, and kudos to people like Terence who came on, listened so carefully and provided such a detailed and educational report on the rest of the meeting. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you,
Back to you.
Toastmaster Vika. Okay, can I have Toastmaster Lee? Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, everyone. It's, I think, my third time attending. Yeah, I love this. It's truly international, and it's worth staying up. It's 3:15 in the morning in Sydney at the moment. I think the rest of the house thinks I'm crazy, but I thought, hang on, you know, if anything, I can miss my durian, but I can't miss this. So nice to meet everyone. I always tell people it's eating custard in a public toilet. So, you know. Thank you, everyone. Nice to meet all of you as well, and I learned so much from everyone as well.
You can join us as a member.
Yes, that's right. I asked Willie about the membership.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
We have indeed break another record, 4 hours and 14 minutes. And we have a thorough evaluation by Terence Nunis or his leverage that brought us to another level in our speaking journey. Thank you, Terence, for agreeing to me. I know you are late hour. Singapore Online is the club that you should join because we keep you occupied. So, my final word. Remember to listen. Listen well. I'm also still learning because I'm a person who have high vision, high dreams, but I fear to listen. So I am still learning to listen first before I speak. So I have to shut my mouth first this time. So this is what a Toastmaster we should learn. Learn to listen first. And I declare committee closed. I will see you next Friday, same time, same place, same Zoom ID. And we'll stop the recording.
Okay.